Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Love Society. This is the podcast for people who are on the journey of self-discovery and wellness with a dash of foolishness sprinkled on top. This is a safe place to learn, laugh, and discover your own individual path. Let's start the show.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Sai, aka Nkiru, the Love Guru.
And my name is Tony Gillen, licensed professional counselor. I be wanting to say my credentials. I'm like M Masters of Education in Counseling, licensed professional counselor.
Flex on the one
I'm
time.
so used to signing my name on documents, so when I say my name, I automatically think to say the credentials afterwards. So yes, I am a licensed professional counselor.
I promise he licensed, even though he hesitates every time.
I am licensed.
And a real one, not a Dr. Umar license, a real one.
Look, I like Dr. Umar.
I like Dr.
You're talking about my brother.
I thought
The Frederick Douglass School?
Frederick Douglass
Academy or something?
It's something else. Marcus Garvey.
Marcus Garvey. That's
Frederick Douglass Academy. That's what it is.
Lord have mercy. So many names.
For real, that's a long. I'd be mad.
When do you think that school is going to be built? When do you think it's going to be
You
ready?
know, it's already ready.
What's the holdup?
He said the holdup was AC and electricians and stuff like that.
That's it?
Yeah.
It's been years.
No, they got the buildings. The buildings are paid for.
I know, but
now
it's been years since he's.
So first thing was finding buildings, then getting the money for the buildings. They got that. Now they got to get the buildings up to code. They have two separate buildings. One building they said is closer to being up to code. The other one has a longer way to go.
Where are they at? In Philadelphia?
I forgot.
I remember he said something
Don't
about
get me
one
to
of them in
line.
Virginia. Yeah, they said they had a big old building.
Look it up on Google. He'll tell you where it's at. Marcus Garvey,
Shout out to
Frederick.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Dr. Umar.
Friend of the podcast.
Friend of the
Welcome to come on
podcast.
anytime.
You are.
I would love to sit and talk to you.
I would love to sit and listen because I ain't gonna do too much talking.
Yeah,
Dr. Umar gonna have his whole thing.
You know, he like to talk.
You know, he gonna have his bullet for bullet.
He be talking hard too.
He do.
I bet he be spitting when he be talking.
See, then I'm gonna have to rinse out my little
I
mic
bet them mics be
cover.
stinking. You know when you talk too hard on the mic, it stink afterwards.
I don't think a lot of people know that, but they gonna find
you
out
walked
today.
up on a mic or somebody that just got done talking, be all breath in the mic. Just be sitting there, just hey.
Just
Especially them pastors, boy.
ooh ha.
And then you walk down to Jericho. You know, boy.
Like this is just
Side note.
what's
I got a
that?
question.
What's
Speaking
up?
of pastors.
Uh-huh.
Why do when pastors preach, they get into that whole shouting thing? Why?
I
Why
don't.
is that? Who talks like that in regular life?
Nobody in life. I don't understand it. I personally don't appreciate it. It personally irritates me and it makes me feel like you're putting on a production. So I don't really like, I've never really resonated with pastors who do that. I've always liked pastors who like went back and forth with facts.
Yeah.
Like they go and they like
do like a lecture. Almost.
yeah, I've always loved
Interactive lecture.
those kind of pastors who would basically turn it more into a Bible study than a production. Like I don't like that. I never ever liked that.
Like I be invested in the lesson, and when they start doing that, I'm like, I literally grab my phone and be like, all right, I'm out. Let me go look and see what's going on in the world.
For real, I don't be
Yahoo.com, who's on the game.
I'm telling you, I don't be paying attention. I be in my own little world. I'm like, listen, because what makes me irritated about it is because, not mean to offend nobody, this is just my personal opinion. I've always been a person that is like a avid person when it comes to like spirituality. Spirituality is a big part of my life, you know. I find it very interesting. So if you don't stimulate my mind, then I'm bored anyway. Because one, I'm not the average person that's just here. This the first spiritual thing I'm doing this week. You know what I mean? So if you're talking about something on a very surface level, and then you're covering up that you're not diving deep into it by doing a whole bunch of hooping and hollering, I'm going to be aggravated. I'm going to feel like I wasted my time. And I could have just been at home doing this on my own and getting further than I did sitting here with these uncomfortable clothes on this uncomfortable pew.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, I just never. I've always been into, when I listen to a lecture or a preacher, I like to just be talked to.
Yeah.
I don't like the hollering and the jumping and the music and everybody get to shouting. That's just, I feel like that's, I think a lot like you, I feel like it's not real.
Yeah.
I can understand being like excited and catching the Holy Spirit. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But yeah, I don't.
You want to know why I feel like it's so unreal?
Why?
Because everything is so choreographed. How do you already have something prepared for when you are going to shout? And then everyone knows the proper dance to shout to. And then everyone does the same thing. It's too...
You think people make a lesson and be like, okay, right here, I'm going to shout?
Yeah, I honestly do.
So?
I see it on TV, so I think that's what people do in real life.
I don't know.
I really pray that that's not, but I really do. It feels that way because it's just like... If people don't shop, they be like, "Oh, y'all hear me out there? Let me run it back again," and they just keep saying it until you start shouting, and it's just like, what's the plan here? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing for real? What's the ultimate goal in this whole entire situation? I just feel, I don't know. I'm a person to where I take very seriously being interactive in your own growth and who you are as an individual, and the whole notion of sitting and waiting for somebody to do everything for you and you actually absolutely have no accountability to any of it. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to your spirituality, like you feel like there's nothing you're supposed to be learning, nothing you're supposed to be working on, nothing you're supposed to be doing, nothing you're supposed to be, just all you have to do is sit in this pew and listen to somebody holler for 2.5 hours and then that's it. I just feel like at some point in time in your life, you should look at that and be like, this can't be right. This can't be all that I'm required to do.
True.
In order to have some sort of spiritual situation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This can't be it. All I'm required to do is just listen. And then what I'm listening to is not really...
Yeah.
It's like the same 12 messages recycled over and over and over again with a different flavor on it.
Yeah, I will say that I go to... So I'm a church person. I like going to church. I really get a lot of... I get spiritually fed at church. You know, for me, it like ramps me up for the week. But I will say, like going to church, I don't know the last time I heard a sermon, and I left like, wow, that's what I needed.
Man,
it's been a long time. But
that was, to be honest, and I had this conversation. I do a podcast with a couple of my friends. It's called the One Rule Church Podcast. And
girl, how many podcasts you got?
Child, a lot. Child, I'm trying to solidify my...
Talk about cake recipes.
But on this particular podcast, it's a group of us who have actually left the church, and we all left the church for different reasons. And like I was telling them,
podcast of heathens.
See, there you go. But on the first episode, you can find it on. It's a video podcast actually, but you can find it on. I was finna say Netflix. I wish, child. Netflix. You can find. Look at me speaking into existence. You better walk, okay? Come on, Netflix.
Big Netflix energy.
Big Netflix energy. That's what I'm talking about. You better put it on my tongue, God. You see, I got it. Right. Netflix. Okay, all right. Said, child, you speaking too small, but you can find it on Facebook. The One Rule Church Podcast page. It has all of our episodes on there.
It's on Facebook?
It's on Facebook, and it's also on YouTube. So
are you sure it's on there?
Absolutely.
Is it on your phone?
No. We go live every
so live, okay.
But we go live every Sunday.
For everyone that's been following our podcast,
listen, we don't know what the F is going on.
But for some reason they are not posting.
But you know what? When they do post, y'all gonna have like 4 episodes in one time.
Right. So just keep looking out.
Understand.
When they pop up, we'll definitely share them.
Yeah. And so on there, I was talking to them about my reason why I left. And a lot of people's reason why they leave the church is normally like, oh, you know, this is whack, blah, blah, blah. Like, God called me out of the church. And a lot of people, and they were talking, we were having a conversation about that. And one thing that I was telling them is I know that that's something that is typically not common for a lot of people to hear. I was called out of the church because the church was too much of a distraction for me. You know what I mean? Me growing up, being a diligent member in the church from a youth, you know what I mean? Being a youth pastor while I was in high school and things of that nature, being I was an evangelist. I used to go door to door. I used to do all kinds of stuff when I was young. Yeah.
Yes.
So, being on praise team and stuff like, it was like, if I would have stayed in church, I would have lost my relationship with God. So God called me out of the church. It was not best for me to stay. So me leaving actually helped build my relationship with God, because I saw too many fallacies in the church. I saw too much hypocrisy in the church, and it started making me question God when really it wasn't God. It's the situation. You know what I mean? So so God called me out of the church so that I can focus my eyes on what it need to be focused on.
That's a good point. It speaks to a point of
like, a lot of people don't.
Sometimes you get so caught up in the functions of church.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta do this. I gotta be a part of the choir. I
yes.
gotta do this.
And that was me.
Teach the class, and you lose the ability to connect the church anymore.
You lose.
Church becomes like a job.
You lose the relationship with God. That was what was happening to me, and a lot of people, when people assume things. And normally I don't say much. I let people assume because it's not my job. Somebody was saying this today, you know, everybody, excuse my language, everybody talks shit about Jesus. But you know what Jesus didn't do? Correct them. Because it wasn't his place to worry about what people thought about him. So a lot of people have their assumptions, or they talk or they say whatever about me, or why I walk my spiritual journey the way that I walk. But until you ask me, you know what I mean? It's not for me to go around and Captain Crusade for my journey, because my journey is for me. You know what I mean? And what works for me may not work for another person. I know what works for me because God called me to walk this way. You know what I mean? But people assume, oh, you don't go to church, you must hate God. You must go to hell. Yeah. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Sometimes church can be the reason that you leave.
It really is.
It was at the time where I was really, really involved in my church's choir. I was I was in all the choirs. I was on the praise ensemble.
Yeah.
I was helping out with the children's choir. And I remember going to my pastor and being like, look, I feel like I'm singing and I don't even understand. Like, I'm singing and everybody else is getting the words.
And I'm praises,
not. And I'm just singing. They just words to me. They're just lyrics that I gotta learn. But I don't feel a connection to anything that I'm singing. And I remember the pastor saying, like, you know, he gave me a letter that some person wrote about how his words like really spoke to her, and basically trying to tell me that you are being a blessing to other people, and to keep that as your mindset. But it's like,
but here's another thing. So because like I'm sure I brought up on this podcast before, but I'll bring it up again. I do a podcast every Monday where I do like a motivational thing. I do a Bible thing on there on Monday, mixed with some other stuff. And my Sister Circle podcast, we do a whole 2 hour situation, 2 hour minimum situation, where it's like we go through the Bible, we go through a lot of spiritual tools at the same time each and every week. And that's our way of doing work. You know what I mean? So of course, each and every person is gonna be called. You know what I mean? When you're in spirituality, you're called in one way or another. How that calling is for you. You know what I mean? I sing, but my calling is not to reach people through singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because I sing does not mean that that's the way that I'm supposed to reach people. And a lot of times people outside of your calling, and anybody who is outside of your calling is anybody that is not you or God, will try to tell you what your calling is, and they can't tell you what your calling is.
Yeah.
Only God can tell you what your calling is and how you're supposed to reach people. It doesn't matter what your talent is. Sometimes God blesses you with multiple talents, and just because somebody can adequately see one talent doesn't mean that that's the talent that God is using for you to help reach people with. That may be the talent God gave you to make money with.
True.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times people get caught up in that. You know what I mean? I know that music is not my main source of talent for reaching people. Talking is. Communication. I have a gift of simplifying a lot of things. You know what I mean? I could take things and turn it into a story, and people be like, you know what? That made sense in a different way I didn't expect for it to make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a gift. I didn't know that was a gift that I had until I spent time with God, and God started showing me when I was having communication with other people, when I was out in the world, walking around in the world. God would tell me, go talk to this one, go talk to that one, go talk to that one. And as I'm talking to people, God is talking to me and telling me, see, you know what I mean? And that's how I figured out, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Even the whole podcast thing, that was something. You can ask the Monica. She will tell you that is literally something that God told me that I needed to do. You know what I mean? So
Why do you think he told you that?
because I feel like that when it comes to because I got the call to do it the end of 2019, and I was disobedient for a very long time, and then I finally caved in and started around September of 2020. I feel like that it was the reason why I was called to do the podcast is because this whole situation that happened with COVID, a lot of people are going to start retreating. A lot of people are going to start going into hermit mode or their safe places. And it's going to be a lot harder to reach people, a lot harder to talk to people. People are going to feel more comfortable. After you spend a whole year not being around people, you start realizing how much you don't need to do a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And I feel that was...
Lose that connection.
Yeah. I feel that God was calling me to do that for people who may not feel the need to come out, but at the same time, they feel like they need to be able to connect to someone on a consistent basis or at least a weekly basis. So I decided to do these podcasts, you know what I mean? And
so like for the listeners you talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And also, you know, for my dual purposes for myself also, you know what I mean? Because I get to see all my friends, which
That's
is
what I was
dope.
going to say. I think that I personally, just knowing you the way that I've known you, I think that you doing these podcasts you've been doing was actually meant for you, because I think that God knew everything you were going to go through.
Yeah.
And he needed you to be surrounded by people.
I agree with that too. God always has multiple. That's how he works.
Yeah, look, I'm about to take you through some things.
Yeah.
I need you to have the Monica. I need you to get Erica. I need you to get Tony. I need all y'all to just be around each other, surround each other, because you're gonna need these connections.
Yeah.
And us too.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think and that's the beautiful thing about it, because like at the beginning, one thing that I do know about God, and I know y'all, we done started this podcast off, y'all like, what is going on? But we taking the podcast where it go today. But one thing I do know about God is God might not always tell you the why or the what.
Oh, come on now.
You know what I mean? The what or the why or the how, but God, or the when. God is just gonna tell you to go. You know what I mean? And you have
to like run. I'll tell you where to go from there. You just start running though.
When he say go, he say go. You know what I mean? And you just gotta look at it like that. Like, it may not make sense. One thing that I always find fascinating about the Most High is that it's like a good book or good movie. It don't make sense when it start. You like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Whatever, we just doing this. But as you start going, you like, oh, this about to be lit. You know what I mean? You start getting little pieces, And even then when you think you got it figured out, sometimes it'll flip and it'll be like, yo, I had no idea that was finna even go to. And it's like, that's the beauty of being along for the ride. That's the beauty of submitting yourself. You know what I mean? And just really but, you know, I don't know. You have me going on and on. Let me not. But but for me, that's more important for me in a spiritual walk than people seeing me have a spiritual walk. That was a hard struggle. That was a lesson that I had to learn. That was a choice that I had to make. Like, we went to the Man Up event, and
shout out to Man Up.
Shout out to Man Up. And Thizzle spoke. Shout out to Thizzle.
You know what? I had no idea who he was.
I've seen him, but that was my first time hearing him speak. No lie. Heard him. So, cause he does music, so you know, me being in music, I've seen his name floating around and a lot of that.
You said Grammy Award winner.
Yes.
Like, oh, I didn't know that.
And so when he made a statement at the Man Up event where he says, a lot of y'all just look like you do something, but you don't do it. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing. Like I hope it didn't go over a lot of people's heads. But that was one of the reasons why I was called out of the church, because I look real good. I look good. I look like I do this church thing well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mother, huh? But listen, I was on everything that you can possibly. I was a Bible Bowl champion. Oh, I was on Pathfinders, color guard. We used to.
I had color guard in church.
Listen, I was on everything that you could possibly. Pathfinders was like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts for the Lord. I was on temperance. Brad, when I say I was a junior,
color guard in church.
Absolutely, I was over there. Listen, I was the drum major. I was the drum major.
What kind of church is it?
Well, listen, we had
church high school.
We had everything, and I was everything in that mug. You know what I mean? Everything that you can think of, I was doing it, because a lot of in high school and things like that, I couldn't do a lot of things because it conflicted with my faith. Oh, man. You know what I mean? So I picked up a lot of activities while I was in church. And I look good. When I say I look good, baby child, please. Bible Bowl was like, imagine being a mathlete or something like that. And you're competing against, now imagine that with the scripture. Okay? So I used to tear them up.
I know my word.
For real, to this day, know it, okay? I missed the
500 points. What was Joshua's jacket called?
For real, listen. It used to be a whole thing. So I used to look real good. You know what I mean? But I noticed when I was in college, because I went to a Christian college, my relationship started dwindling. Yeah. And my relationship started dwindling, and I went on a fast from anything secular for an entire year. So I didn't listen to secular music, didn't watch secular TV, didn't do nothing for an entire year. You know what I mean? And because I was trying to regain my connection back to God. And God told me at the end,
what did he say?
Leave the church.
He said, get on out of there.
And you know what I said? Oh, this must be the devil.
Right.
Because this can't be.
They say Satan comes to divide.
Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't obedient when God first. It took me a long time. I left, came back, left again. Like, it took me a long time because I was battling in my mind. Was it really God, or was it not God that was telling me to leave? And how God will ask, and then God will make it impossible for you to go another way if you don't listen. You know what I mean? Like Jonah. Uh-huh. God only gonna ask you a couple of times, and that's it.
Yeah. I don't know. God and I have an interesting relationship.
That's awesome then. You should have an interesting relationship with God.
I'm trying to think. A lot of times, I don't know. It's funny because, so, man, it's so many different things. But for me, I guess I have a sense of humor, and so
does God.
A lot of times, I'll be laughing and joking with God a lot of stuff, and I know a few times where I prayed and asked Him to like help me in situations.
Mm-hmm.
I had times where I've told Him like, look, I know what your word says. I know what you ordered me to do. I can't do it. I'm sorry. And I remember, and this is a more intimate ish detail. I remember when I was contemplating on divorce,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I remember things were just so terrible, and I was just miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to God. I was trying to hold it together for my kids.
I was there.
I was trying
Not for the kids, but
I was trying to like, man, I don't want nothing to happen to my children. I need to be a covering to my family, and you know what's gonna happen if I leave? What's gonna happen to them? And I remember just like being so miserable where I got down on my knees. I said, God, whatever you gonna do to me, because I'm making this decision, you just gonna have to do it.
yeah.
I cannot do this any longer.
But why do you feel like God was going to do something to you for making that decision?
I think that because, okay, so I think that a lot of it was because of the mindset that had been drilled into me from church, and the people that I was around that were church going people. When I would talk about marital issues, a lot of times people would just kind of give that message of God hates divorce.
But where does it say that? Where does it say?
Let me finish. So I would hear about God hates divorce, and you talk about Paul or Saul, whatever you want to call him, and he talked about how there's only 2 reasons that you're able to leave a marriage or whatever, and then you think about like all the married people, they would say you gotta just pray through it. People that like you gotta hold hands and you just gotta work together. Nobody ever gave me an out. Nobody ever gave me well, shoot, sometimes it ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard that message. So from married people, it was work hard at it. You gotta pray. You gotta hold hands. You gotta. And then from single people, they were like, I don't know nothing about marriage. I can't give you no advice on marriage.
Right.
So then it's like, shoot. So
what
you left in the middle of what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
Because I can't get no answers nowhere. And so I felt like I was trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember feeling like, you know what? F it. If God didn't give me the right to leave my marriage, and I decided to leave, whatever penalties come from it, it's just going to come, God.
Mm-hmm.
You want to strike me down.
Yeah.
I remember for a while I thought if I had any other family outside of that, He was going to punish me for it. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of irrational thoughts.
Right.
And going to therapy actually helped me to work it out. Helped me to realize that God was not this type of person. He wasn't a sadistic person that was trying to hurt me. I look at God now. It actually helped me in my relationship with God going through my divorce.
It does.
Because it allowed me to see that God is like a dad. He's like, I think about like my kids.
Absolutely.
My kids might do a lot of things that I'm like, look, that's not what you should do. But guess what? If they do it, sure, I might be a little disappointed, but I'm still going to love them. They still invited to Thanksgiving dinner.
I want you to say that again so people can hear it.
God is like your father.
For
or
real.
If you don't have one, He's like a father
Or a
figure.
mother.
Or a mother.
Yeah, a
you
parent.
Can do something totally wrong, and your parents are going to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
They might be upset.
They may even chastise you.
They might chastise you. They might take something from you or do something to you, whatever. But guess what? They still love you. Mm-hmm. They're still going to support you. They're still going to be there for you. They're still going to cheer for you. They're still going to come to bat for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're still going to invite you to the house. You still invited.
Yep.
You're still welcome.
Yep. There is nothing that you can do to fall out of the grace of God.
Yeah. And God is 10 times, His love is 10 times, 100 times stronger than that.
Come on, Tony.
So
don't
just think
start now.
What your parents will do.
Don't start in this.
God will take that.
Y'all, Tony trying to make me get up.
And then, and when you go to the land of the milk and honey,
Tony trying to make me get up.
Yeah.
See?
But no, that's something I had to realize on my own.
For real.
And from there, I felt like my relationship with God grew.
I feel like this is my personal opinion. Of course, we are all different, but I feel like everybody relationship.
This is all our personal opinion, guys. We are not, even though we are professionals in our own right, we are not 100% right about everything. Nobody is. Nobody's perfect.
Only person that is right about your life is you.
Yeah, and we are just people.
Yeah.
And so these are just our opinions, and our perspectives based on our experiences.
I think that every person will do better and have a better relationship with God when they go into some form of isolation. There is not a single biblical story of a single biblical person that did not have to go through some form of isolation to find themselves closer to God. And so this is why I advocate for leaving the church. You know what I mean? Not even if it's for a small period of time. You know what I mean? I don't want you to feel like that if you're not in the house of the church that God is not there. God is everywhere you are. God should be in your house. God should be in your heart. God should be everywhere you go. And if you don't feel that God is in your house or in your heart and everywhere you go, going to a church will not help you. That doesn't help you. The church house is supposed to be for fellowship. It's not supposed to be where you find God. And that's something that
I feel like church is where you learn about God.
It's like
school.
It's like fellowship. You know what I mean? Because you can learn about God at home, but it's where, like how we're having me and you right now, this is considered church in the definition of the Bible, where 2 or 3 are gathered together is church. You know what I mean? So this is where you have dialogue with another individual. You're having church. You know what I mean? That's what church is for, so that you can have dialogue, so that you're not just creating things in your own mind, that you're bouncing situations against other people. You know what I mean? That's the importance of church. But church is not supposed to teach you everything. You should be doing that also. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to give you a relationship with God. You should be doing that daily.
I look at church like I look at school. Like you go to school and you get a formalized education, you learn the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, and then eventually you graduate and you go off into the world and you use what you've learned and you apply that to your life.
I look at church.
I look at the application of church into the real world as your spiritual foundation. That's what the relationship that you build with God is, through your application of what you've learned into the real world. Because everything you've learned may not transfer to the real world, and so you learn to adjust.
Right.
You learn to say, okay, this doesn't apply in this place, or maybe I look at this differently.
Right.
Look at it this way. But you don't get that at church.
Yeah, I look at church more as a hospital.
Okay.
So it's like where you go when you're sick, where you go when you need to pick me up, where you go when you need help, when you need to get back on your feet, or whatever the case may be. I look at your analogy of school, I look at more so Bible study, more of like school than church. You know what I mean?
Well, just the concept of
church, but I understand what you're saying. But like going to, if you're a person that just goes on Sunday, I look at that as like going to the hospital. But if you're a person that goes to like Bible study or Sabbath school or Sunday school or whatever the case may be, that's more of like church, because it's more so going into the word, learning, you know what I mean? Studying.
Sometimes school is an escape for a lot of people.
It's true. It's true.
Where people get a break from the real world.
It's true. It was an escape for me. I love school growing up. But you know what I mean? Which is why I was really good at church. You know what I mean? But I look at it that way. And the reason why I look at church that way is because it makes it easier for me to not judge church. Because you don't judge nobody in the hospital. You go into the ER and you're sitting in the waiting room and somebody's there with a gunshot wound in their side. Another person is in a wheelchair. Another person's sick. Another person with a crying baby. Other person got a cut on their arm or whatever. You're not judging nobody in there. You in there because you're in there for whatever you're in there for. Mm-hmm. You're not looking at this one or that one or whatever case may be. You're in there so that you can get healed, so that you can go back out into your day. But so I look at church that way, so that when I go into a church and I see somebody doing something ridiculous, I don't be like, look at this fool over here acting ridiculous. Because I wouldn't do that in an ER room. You know what I mean? I understand that everybody is here trying to get the same thing that I'm trying to get. So let me focus on what I'm trying to get so I get in and get out. You know what I mean? But that's just my POV. That's just my point of view.
I understand. Well, we're 35 minutes in and we have not checked in with each other. So I'll start with you. How are you doing, Miss Nkiru, the love guru?
I'm doing good. I'm so proud of myself today. It took me all of 2 weeks to finally hang up my curtains without falling off the ceilings, and I'm so proud of myself.
Oh, I see you.
I know, y'all. Listen. Short people can do tall things too, so I'm having a good day today.
Don't try this at home, children.
For real, I was sweating. It didn't make no daggone sense. Stuff, sweating.
Oh,
y'all, I have a slight phobia of falling because when I was working at a certain ex job of mine, they were very negligent with their safety, and I injured myself a couple of times by falling on certain things, off certain things. And so I get a little nervous when I am in situations to where I have to balance on stuff, or it could possibly put me into a situation. So that was a big thing for me. So I'm proud of myself.
So falling from high places?
Falling, period. I fell from.
What about?
I fell from high. I know that's like a conquering thing. That's a whole nother thing.
Okay. All right.
That's intentionally done. We'll talk about that off air.
Okay. All right. Off the record.
Off the record. Okay. How you doing?
Man, I'm terrible.
I'm finna smack you. You are not terrible.
My life sucks. How am I doing? Tony, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm decent. I am doing well. My business, my practice has been jumping a little bit. I got new clients, and it's so cool.
New clients.
To do what I do. It's actually helped me to refocus my career more, like my passion for what I do more. I think a lot of time working with kids, it gets to be a little mundane a little bit.
Yeah.
And so doing my own practice, I get a chance to work with different people, different situations, and so it's just really it adds more energy to it for me. And so it's been exciting. My kids are doing really well. Summer, they're about to end school, and so now we got summertime coming up, and I've been thinking of trying to find ways to just kind of be more of a father to them, like helping them with finding out what their passions are. I talked to my daughter today about like what does she like to do, like what is she thinking about doing for her career, her life and stuff. Because at one time,
because it's around that time.
She's about to be in 8th grade, and it's early, but still, it's good to have those conversations. And I asked her today about what she wanted to do when she got older, and her answer was, I don't know. I have no idea. And I was like, wow. Like when I used to ask you this question when she was younger, she had all these answers. She wanted to be a teacher. She wanted to be a dancer. She wanted to be a lawyer. I was like, you had all of these things.
But you know what? I was the same way around that time. Like, and you know why I was that way around that time? Like, the closer it got to the fact that it was a reality, the more scared I got about it. Making the wrong choice. Like when I got into 8th, like I used to be like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And once I got into 8th grade, it was like, what you want to do? I'm like.
But were you interested in things?
I was interested in a lot of things.
See, my daughter's not interested in anything.
Was she not before now?
She used to be, and then this is like everything that she does now. She just watches TV, and so I'm wondering if this is like
a phase.
So I can take this different ways. I can take it as, okay, this is a phase, and eventually she's gonna find something that sparks something for her. or I can look at it as maybe she is one of those people. So she has like, okay, so she has like certain family members who might are on mom's side who just kind of have a regular job and they just are content and they don't really do anything else. They just go to work and they go home. And I'm thinking like maybe she's one of those types of people.
Yeah.
Where she just wants to get a regular job doing something regular and just work and then go home.
You know, it's another good question for her. Maybe career is not that important to her. Maybe you should ask her if family is more important to her. Because a lot of people, to where that is their thing, like the regular job, going home, whatever, family is more of what they strive for, having a certain type of family situation, you know what I mean? So maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's
very close with one particular person in the family who's a lot like that. Like
that
just
family
go to work and just go home, and they just sit around, you know, not in a negative. I don't want people to think that I'm talking down. I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just.
But
saying,
to some people, work is just not it.
And then they go home and they just chill and that's it. And they're content with it. And I'm wondering if that's her. Maybe I don't want to put my things into her. I don't want to be like, well, it should be important for you to find. It's important to find a career. I believe it's important to have a career that you're passionate about and doing. But that may be just me. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's one of the people that don't care about that.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of in a place of, okay, what do I do as a father to foster that?
But that was the reason why I said, like, ask her about the family thing, because I know for me, career is important, but not as much as family is to me. I feel like for me, career is third. I feel like family is most important, and then passion and purpose is second most important, and then career is third, because a lot of times your career is just how you survive, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily the calling over your life or your whole whatever, you know what I mean? It's just what helps pay the bills, you know what I mean? So and maybe that's a woman thing. You know what I mean?
There's so many different things. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, so
my boys are younger.
Yeah, so you can't really compare it.
My son Tony is always talking. Every time I ask him what he wants to be when he grow up, he says he wants to be a chef.
I believe that too.
Since he was young, he loved eating. That boy loved to eat, but he loved to be in the kitchen. And so I'm trying to find ways for him to be involved with, like, maybe young chefs or.
Have you ever played Master Chef Junior for him?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of. It's like, do you know who Gordon Ramsay is?
I've heard of Master Chef, like a competition for like kids.
Well, it's a competition for adults, Master Chef, and then Master Chef Junior is for like little kids. They have kids on there like as young as like 5, you know what I mean, up to like freaking 16 or whatever the case may be, and they is like doing real dishes, like not no making ramen, like real dishes, like plating the whole shebang, you know what I mean? So
well, I know there was a class that was being offered at like Deerbergs, not Deerbergs, Snooks. They were offering some class like in Prepare, but I want to look into some stuff. But when I started looking into things, COVID happened. So
yeah, raggedy tail.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a little bit on me. What else is going on with me? My relationship is blossoming.
Bubbles.
I've met a woman who has been amazing. She has been a breath of fresh air in my life. A lot of what I thought was not realistic anymore, she has come along and kind of changed that. And so now it's invigorated me and added more like energy to me to consider the idea of going down the marriage route again.
Hey,
you know, and so
'cause listen,
I'm just like, okay, all right, well, maybe this is where I might try this. I don't know. I might have, what do you say? I might get this a go around. I told her, like, look, I got one more in me.
Cause it's not. I don't think a lot of people understand. After being married and going through a divorce is a tough road.
Yes.
I don't care what nobody say. I don't care how much thug you got in your heart. A divorce is a tough road to walk.
It's
for
tough.
Anybody.
It's tough for people who have not let go. I think when you are done, I don't think like for me, so going through my divorce was not really that. It's not been that tough. It's more so been annoying, because I'm done. Like I'm out of there. I've been done for a while, but when the other person is not necessarily done, then it makes it tough. But it's tough for them. For you, it's more so annoying.
Yeah, it is, boy.
It's like, can we just be done with this? Can we just sign the papers and be done?
Man.
I see why people have those parties and stuff.
But that's the thing. Like, that's the tough part. That's the tough part. It's just a tough in a different type of way. It's tough in a different way. Like, it's not tough for you to let go because you already walked the steps and did everything you need to do to let go. And when you get to that part and then somebody is literally holding you hostage and something you let go of, that is the tough part. Because that is when your patience gotta kick in. That is when your what's the word? Grace gotta kick in. That is when you have to woo side.
You're right.
I'm telling you.
You're right.
Because you have to have enough care for the other person to get there, even though they should righteously have already been doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to have patience for them because at one point you love that person. You know what I mean?
You still do.
You know what I mean? And you still do. But it's hard when you ready to just.
I'll take that back. I think first of all, breakups are hard. Breakups are emotionally and physically tough. But marriage adds another element into that, and that's the spiritual aspect of the breakup.
Yes.
Because marriage a lot of times is done between two people who have some sort of foundation when it comes to spirituality. Right? You're standing in front of God or whoever created you and you are believing in. And you're saying, I vow to be with this person. And so when you are breaking up, it's almost like you're telling God, my bad. I messed up. And now not only do you have to deal with the disappointment in your own life, but now you're dealing with the disappointment that you perceive from the creator that you worship. Then you have children that are involved. And so it makes the ending of a marriage a way more, they call marriage and divorce an emotional, it's a spiritual death. Because you do go through a spiritual death. You go down when you go to divorce.
You ain't got no choice.
You go. It don't matter how positive you are. Look, divorce will have you questioning life.
I'm telling you. That's why I say I don't care how much of a thug you are in your heart. Like, because a lot of people be like, when I was done, I was done. No, you weren't.
No.
You putting that front on.
You go through three different things. You go through that emotional aspect of divorce, which is the emotional letting go of another human being that you loved, that you were in love with, that you vowed to be with. That's the emotional aspect. Then you have the physical. That's the divorce. That's the actual paperwork of it all, which is tedious in itself. But then you have that spiritual aspect where you have to rebuild yourself spiritually. You have to tell yourself that I did something that maybe wasn't what I was supposed to biblically. These are people that are believers in the Bible or whatever. You have to look at them like, okay, I did something that I go against biblically, and now I have to take what's happened in my life, and I have to find a way to make sense of it all in Scripture.
Yep.
Like I have to, because like I said, divorce brings you back down to your foundation, and now you have to rebuild yourself. You have to be able to go out into the world and still praise God, even though you've gone through something that maybe is perceived as something that is wrong in the eyes of the church people, or whatever. Because
that's a lot of it, and that was why I was saying, like, I feel like God pulled me out of the church, because that's when you realize that there are a lot of things that you learn growing up in the church that are really just they're not. It's not. It's more doctrine or church.
It's heresy.
I'm gonna touch that hot button, but it's
in later podcasts we're gonna talk about marriage and divorce. And
we are definitely gonna do that.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, we definitely gonna do that. But I there are certain things that take place, or that people feel like, oh, the Bible says it's. Bible never says it. You know what I mean? It's just been passed down from church tradition for thousands of years. You just feel like that it's got to be in the Bible. But then when you look, it's not in there. This is just what Sister Esther said in 1912. And everybody said it was good enough for Esther. It's good enough for me. And it's not good enough for you. Mm-hmm. You have to understand that, like, just because somebody walked their life a certain type of way and that worked for them does not mean that you have to walk it that way, especially if God is not telling you to do that. Mm. That's the part. And like, it's not until you go into your personal relationship with God, like taking some time. This podcast just turned into this because we supposed to talk about something completely different, and God was like, "No, y'all not. Y'all talking about this."
Going through what I went through because like I told you, I remember being trapped. Mm-hmm. I remember the married people saying, "Stay." I remember the single people saying, "I don't have nothing for you," and just being by myself. And what that taught me was, don't let anything in the world, and even as a couples therapist, which I hope to become I don't know about license, but marriage or family.
Yeah.
One thing that I firmly believe, just because y'all get married, don't mean y'all gonna work out.
That's true.
That's just the reality of life.
But that's with anything.
And don't be afraid to walk away from a relationship when it's making you miserable. When it's no longer bringing the best out of you, and you tried everything you can, it's okay to leave.
But don't be afraid to do that in anything.
Yes, anything, any relationship, whether it's a person, whether it's a job, whether it's family, whether it's. I mean, you can't leave your kids. Don't do that. But don't leave your kids.
Well, if you being abusive to them, please leave them in the hands of someone who is not going to.
But
I'm not going to tell you to stay with no kid and you beating them. Please, God, please.
Yeah.
Please let that child have a better chance.
But you should be but always look at your mental health.
Yes.
Always look at, okay, did you do everything you possibly could to make it work? If you can honestly say yes, then okay. And it's okay to walk away. Just because two people break up or you break up with a whatever,
right,
doesn't mean that you are bad. Doesn't make anybody. Two people can break up and it be nobody's fault.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yep.
No one. You don't have to.
There's no fault in a situation running its course.
There doesn't have to be a bad guy. There doesn't have to be enemies.
I put it to you like this. You seen Twilight?
The vampire movie?
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Okay, let me
saw the first one.
I could tell by your.
I saw the first one, and I saw the second one when they were turned into wolves.
Let me change my example. I can tell you already know it. Have you seen Harry Potter?
Yes, I actually watched it last year for the first time.
That was a better response.
Okay.
Harry Potter was great. You know what I mean? Good situation, great movies. 7 movies of it?
8, I believe.
7 or 8, a whole bunch of movies, okay? Harry Potter. And then it ended. You know what I mean? It wasn't the fault of Harry Potter. It wasn't because it was a bad movie. It ended. It was because it ran its course.
The story was over.
It ran its course. And sometimes certain situations run its course. That doesn't mean that it wasn't good. It means that it ran its course. Like a lot of people look at situations and they don't get what they're supposed to get out of the situations because they don't know how to look at the relationship for what it's meant to be. You know what I mean? Like if you look at a relationship and no matter the relationship, you understand that this person is helping you to become the very best version of yourself in one way or another, then it will help you look at the situation, whether it ends or not, differently.
Yes.
And with more of an open heart. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've adopted. I don't even remember when I adopted this, but I've been doing it for so long. That's how I move in life.
Yeah.
I try to look at every situation, every relationship. What have I learned from this situation? What blessings have I gotten from this situation? You know what I mean? And because I understand that,
gotta have time to process after when it's over.
that's right. But everybody can't walk with you every step of your walk on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
People are not. Some people aren't even meant to. You know what I mean? They only meant to walk with you for a small time.
Yeah.
You know.
It's when you try to. It's when it's over and you try to hold on to it.
Child,
through
it's painful.
Turmoil. That's when it gets terrible.
It's painful to everybody involved. Just let go.
Mm-hmm.
Just freaking let go.
But yeah, I mean that's just we have this society that society that teaches us you hold on until it's over.
Mm-hmm.
You don't let go. You fight, and it's like I don't ever in my life want to fight for a relationship to work.
But you understand, sometimes fighting is letting go.
No, I'm just saying. Like when I say fight, I mean people like hold on harder,
right.
Stronger. You know, claws scratch and
right.
Jeopardize your mental health. And
no, thank you.
Yeah, sometimes I don't feel like I never want to fight for. I don't ever want to work.
Yeah.
For another relationship ever in my life.
Yeah.
If two people want to be with each other and they love each other and they want to and they have a goal to make it work, then it won't be work. It'll be okay. I love you. I value you.
Right.
How do I make sure you know that? Vice versa. I love you. I value you. How do we make this work?
Right.
What do you need from me to make this work? What do I need from you? And let's do it. And that's how it works.
Yeah, that's right.
It's when one person is like, nah, I ain't doing nothing else.
Then, child, what we
then
doing?
It ain't gonna work.
What is we doing out here?
We done after that.
Streets.
When one person stops wanting it to work,
then it won't work.
It won't work.
And that's real.
You know, when one person allows their ego to get in the way, their pride to get in the way of showing a person that they're valued, it's not working anymore.
That's very true.
You know, marriage, relationships are supposed to be two people serving each other. That's the foundation of it. That I tell my lady now. You know, I think relationships are meant for two people to try to out appreciate each other. I should be trying to appreciate the hell out of you. You should be trying to appreciate the hell out of me. It should be like a contest. Like, how can I show her how much I love her, I appreciate her.
But know? Also, like for me, I don't know. I swear I was born in a different time zone, cause
I guess I see you next later.
For real, but like for me, I look at relationships completely differently, because I'm a big proponent for self-love. You know what I mean? Filling up your cup first. You fill up your cup first, then you're not looking for the other person to fill up their cup. And if you find somebody else who is also filling up their cup,
I can overflow. You got to overflow.
But and it's like now I don't have to worry about, well, I don't have time to be doing what's best for him or thinking about what he needs, because I got to make sure I'm getting what I need and make sure that he giving me what I need. You don't even have to think like that, because your cup is full already. You pick somebody who is sound and that resonates with what you're trying to do, and now you can focus on giving your overflow to him the best way that you know how to give it to that person, and vice versa. And I feel like it all starts with a healthy foundation, and that healthy foundation is how you love yourself.
Yeah.
And I know people are tired of hearing that, but it's the damn truth.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
What do you think that these values fall in terms of polyamorous relationships?
Oh,
there's a huge push and culture of people who are saying, you know, we want more than one. More than one partner. How do you think the dynamics of a healthy relationship?
What's the point? What's the point of more than one partner? Let's get a baseline.
I think that there are a lot of women. On two sides. I think there are a lot of women who feel like I'm looking for a husband. I can't find one because maybe the person is not interested in being with one person. Right?
Why do you need a husband?
So that's what they want. I'm just going based on what I see. So
I know.
Let me finish.
But you asked me a question.
I'm going to give you the other parts.
Go ahead, but I'm going to give you.
Then you can rebut. Then I answer.
No, I'm not rebutting. I'm trying to get an understanding of the baseline. Why does she want the husband?
No. That's a deeper question.
But that's important.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I think that there are women who are looking for a husband. They're looking to be married. They want to be wives or whatnot. And I think that they're struggling because they run into relationships where men are not being able to be faithful to them, or they keep being cheated on. Now I think on the other side, men are saying, I struggle with being with just one person. So maybe I'm supposed to be with more than one person. And so I think that are a lot of people who are being ushered into this realm of polyamory. And it's a lot of people that are talking about this. And so this is a real thing.
Of course.
And so I'm wondering, how do these foundational pieces, when we talk about self-love, not self-love, but like pouring into another person, loving and serving each other, how does that work in a polyamorous relationship?
I feel like a lot of what you're saying to begin with is evidence that we haven't even initiated those things on our own yet. Let alone in a relationship with another, let alone in a relationship with a group of people.
Yeah, I understand.
So when I say, what's the reason for a husband? Why people want a husband? This is one, I had asked this question at a brunch for women's stand-up. I asked this question out to the ladies.
I have my reason for why I think a lot of women look for husbands, but
let's hear it. Why do you think?
I want to hear yours first.
Well, it wasn't a reason, but I asked a simple question. I'm like, okay, who are you as a woman without the title mother, wife? Who are you? A lot of people don't know how to answer that question because they've defined themselves as the titles as who they are in relation to another person. You need to figure out who you are by yourself before you try to attach yourself to another person. The reason why you want something so bad is because you have no idea who you are and you feel lost without having this in conjunction. I'm a mother. A lot of people, you see in their bios, most women on anything social media, you go on their bio, Capricorn, mother of 3, wifey, mompreneur, whatever. It's some sort of relationship situation that defines them. But who are you without all of those things? Who are you if there were no other people and it was just you? Who would you be? A lot of people do not take the time to even think those thoughts, let alone work through those situations. So their longing for a person is to validate who they think that they should be.
Exactly.
And so when they get this person and it quote unquote validates them, and then they don't get the feeling of the validation that they thought that they should have, then there is this tumultuous thing that happens. And it becomes this person, oh, well, I don't feel this way. It must be because it must be because it's your fault. No, you're going to have this fault with every person that you find until the end of time, because it has nothing to do with the person as much as it has to do with you figuring out who you are on the inside. We're not meant to be in couples with other people without figuring out who we are first. If that was the case, we would come in paired off. We come in singular for a reason. We come into this earth through the portal of our mother's womb by ourselves.
What if
what?
This is a random side thing.
I feel like this about to get weird. Go ahead.
What if we were born in pairs?
That'd be dope.
And we're separated, and it's our life. We're supposed to find the other person.
I think we are born in pairs to a certain degree. I think that we're born within a certain window of time with our pair. I feel like one person is born, and then the person we're meant to be with is born afterwards, and we are supposed to find each other. But there is work, because when we come down here with a specific set of flaws.
That's a great movie.
I swear on my life, bruh.
Like we should copyright.
We should. Copyright. We do not give this away.
Yes, this is our idea for this movie. Don't come stealing it. We gotta record it. But
if you came in, it's kind of like Hancock without all the bullshit.
Yes.
But
That's what I'm
when
thinking
you when you come in and you spend your time, because everybody has flaws, you spend your time fixing and correcting your flaws, because there's specific flaws in you, person A, that will destroy person B. And person B has flaws in it that will destroy person A.
We're already born with the flaws, though.
Of course we are, because we all born with sin, quote unquote.
Okay,
so
we're talking about from a biblical standpoint. We
yeah,
net into it.
Yeah.
I was talking about in general, like,
or you know what I mean. A lot of the flaws and things that we come from, to be honest, come from childhood.
I think it's the nurturing. It's like
come from
the nature versus nurture.
Yeah, it comes from.
I think a lot of our environment dictates our flaws.
Exactly. So whoever you're born, because that's your environment, you're born with that. You know what I mean? And so
you were born this way.
And so, like, I feel like you spend your time becoming the best version of who you are, and until you complete all the checklists, God is not going to bring you your child. God is not going to bring you your person. God just ain't.
But I agree with you. I think that a lot of women see being married as the ultimate validation of who they are. I think when you look at like the evolutionary psychology, when you look at early man, early woman, you see that women were supposed to be chosen, and men were supposed to be chosen too. Like the strongest of the men was able to have their pick, but it was the woman that had to be chosen to be the person who carried the seed of the man. And so the ultimate validation was, I got to present myself to be the best possible so I can be chosen. And then that will let me know that I will be the person that's chosen to carry that man's seed and produce more for our tribe or whatnot. So it was like a huge honor to be chosen. And that's why I think that a lot of times when women are proposed to, you see them break down crying.
But you know why I think women break down crying? I'll tell you, because I'm a woman.
You think it's show?
No.
What?
A lot of times, because some women cry and some women don't. You know what I mean?
I've never seen anybody go through a proposal and not cry.
Some women cry because they feel like that they finally made it.
Yeah.
They finally got what they.
Validation.
Yeah, but some women cry because they really have worked. Yeah.
Really worked for what?
Oh, they worked. Cause y'all be work. Y'all be work, man. Y'all be work, damn it. Somebody on the other end of this podcast saying, yes, girl, tell them. Y'all be work. It be a working situation. You know what I mean?
Explain it. Tell me more.
Child.
Move this microphone a little closer to me.
Child. We gonna talk about this topic next time. Cause child, y'all be work. Y'all just do.
So y'all cry because it's like finally he's the person I need him to be?
Not even necessarily that you're the person that you need him to be, because it's not even that it's the person that you need him to be. You know what I mean?
What the work part in it?
Like I was just saying, you have to work to be the best version of whoever that you need to be for you to be compatible with that person. That person has to work too. You know what I mean? That work for you to be the best version of who you need to be for the other person is not easy. That work entails shadow work. It does a lot.
So when you say work, you mean internal work, like
about
who they are.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like you said we take work. I'm like, what do you mean?
When you find a person, this is my listen.
Tell me.
Y'all getting it nosy now, but whatever. When you find a person, when you find that person, or God puts on your heart a person that is potentially can be a mate for you, there's a couple of things that you will find in this person. First thing that you will find in this particular person is the things that bring out all the best things in you. The other thing that you will find in this person is a light that will shine a light on all of the fucked up shit in you.
Okay.
And when they shine the light on all the terrible things in you, that's the work. That's the work. It's like when you having a dinner party and everybody is coming to your house, and God, like, you got to get your house ready. Everybody's coming over there, and you like, okay. You procrastinate. Now this person is like ETA 20 minutes away. Now you got to hurry up and get everything together, because you only got your time is running thin. By the time God shows you a person and you ain't been working this whole goddamn life that you had since birth until now to work on the traumas and the thing, you haven't been doing nothing. Now it's like a crunch time. You know what I mean? It's like a last minute. It's like finishing this paper before 11:59. Okay. Or you know what I mean? It's like, okay, because I haven't been diligently working on myself all the way up until this time. And now God has showed me, because to be honest, I personally think that God shows women who their husbands are before the husbands even know that that's their wife. I honestly believe that.
Okay.
Because it be shit personally. I'm sorry, ladies, but it be shit that women hold on until the end of time. You know what I mean?
Hold on.
Like hold in ourselves until the end of time. You know what I mean? Like traumas, things that happen or whatever the case may be that we just haven't dealt with, emotionally dealt with. And it's not fair to a person who's trying to marry you or try to be with you to deal with those things for you, and you refuse to deal with them for yourself. Okay. You know what I mean?
But even that.
Go ahead.
Even that, all this stuff you need to work on. Mm-hmm. Why do you feel like you need to work on it? Because you met this person.
That's the problem. That's the problem. That's why I said I feel like a lot of people cry because that stress, they don't start until then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's not a good thing. I feel like you should do that.
Exactly.
You should be doing that anyway.
Exactly. That's why I apologize to all the women, because it's the truth. A lot of women.
I've never even heard that point before.
Well, why would they tell you that?
I mean, I think men work on things too. I don't know why men cry at weddings or whatever. I don't get that.
Maybe because they feel like their freedom is gone.
I saw like a video where it's like, if my man ain't crying like this.
I don't know how I feel about that.
He's like, my wife was so beautiful when she walked down. Ain't nobody that damn beautiful.
I don't know.
I feel like my lady is beautiful. I do not believe I'm crying.
I don't know.
She walked down the aisle.
I don't know if I would cry at my wedding. I don't know. I'm a person to where I couldn't tell you in advance if I'm not a crier
anyway, so I don't think that would even be me.
I am. I cry.
I wish I was a crier.
I cried ridiculous shit. I cried when my oldest nephew got hair up under his arms. It made me really sad.
What?
I cried real fucking tears. And that's exactly what all my siblings did while I was crying. Laughed.
Oh, man.
But it made me sad because he was the oldest, and it just made me think about how he's no longer a young boy anymore. And in the society of America, that makes him target practice. Being a young...
That's what you thought about when he saw her at his arms?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
so
crazy.
It made me really sad. And, you know, like, I mourned that. And everybody, you know, like, I think about all kind of random shit. Like, just this past, what was it? 2 weekends ago, I was sitting with my other sister and my oldest niece. She getting closer to age, child. And my sister was talking to me, and because my niece, she almost as tall as me now. And that was a lot for me. And then my sister was like, yeah, you know, it's almost that time. And I'm like, child, I can't even think about her becoming a woman. When you think about what like women being raped, you know, and stuff like that. Like that's
think about that with my daughter.
That's the kind of stuff that makes me so fucking sad, because it's like I'm trying not to, but it makes me so emotional and sad because, like, for me, I don't know if I've ever talked about this. You know, I had horrendous things happen to me when I was a child. You know what I mean? So I feel like as long as, for me, like, I've always been focused on... I'm sorry, y'all. I might cry.
You better not apologize. Go ahead.
But
be free.
I've always focused on, like, as an auntie, being the biggest protector I could be for my nieces and nephews. You know, being a person that they can come to and talk to That way, if anything was going on, they would know that they have a person to protect them from bullshit in this world. You know what I mean? And once they become an adult, you can't protect them no more. You know what I mean? That's hard for anybody. You know what I mean? Because you know what's out there.
Yeah.
And it's not, you can't protect them forever, but you just be hoping it be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And every time I just be like, God, where did the time go? Like, you think it's a lot longer than it actually is.
Yeah, you're right.
Until you see a kid grow up and you see like how fast, you be like, damn, that's.
I think about that with my kids.
Yeah.
Especially with my daughter. It's just for her being a girl and how the world is looking to take advantage of young girls.
Man.
Especially young black girls.
Man.
And then I think about my son. I know my son Tony. I think of both of my sons when it comes to just being black men one day. Mm-hmm. But my son Tony specifically, because Tony is he's very nice.
Yeah.
He loves people to be happy. He's a people pleaser. He loves people.
But it's kids like that. Like when you start telling me, I know that ain't my nephew or my son. When you start telling me when he get older, you gonna see. I'ma start crying about certain things. Cause it's like when you know that they innocent and they're sweet and you want them to have a little bit of that in them forever.
Them to keep it. Yeah. He goes. I remember we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and he gave somebody a random high five, and he was like giving everybody hugs in the restaurant. And I was like, I love it, but then I'm like, Tony, don't ever do that again. Mm-hmm. Because everybody that's in here don't care anything about you. Mm-hmm. Some people will like, if I wasn't around, they would try to hurt you. You just never know. And it hurts to be trying to tell your kid that because they're like, what do you mean somebody hurt me? Why would they want to hurt me? I'm just trying to teach you. Mm-hmm. Like we don't hug random people. You hug people you know. Mm-hmm. Don't hug random people because everybody doesn't want to hug.
Right.
Everybody doesn't want you touching them. Everyone is not meant for you to touch. And for a kid, he's 7. You don't understand that. He don't understand what the world really is. That's the hard part. Mm-hmm. That's the hard part of seeing children grow is that they don't even understand the world they're growing up in. They think everything's sweet. They think everybody is their friend. Everybody see that. I met a new friend today. Man. No, it's not your friend. That's the person you met. Friend is deeper than that. And it's they're gonna have to go through the aspect of people thinking that somebody's their friend, and then they're them being disappointed.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to deal with that. My son Tony talks about this kid in his class is a girl that's always talking about him and telling him that he'll turn around and all of the stuff. And I'm just like, Tony, she's not your friend.
Right.
Don't stop talking to her. Mm-hmm. And that's hard for him. He like, I want everybody to be my friend. Like everybody not, and he'll deal with the mistreatment because he wants people to like him.
Man,
that's hard to deal with as a father.
You, cause I be like on the freaking.
Cause let you be walking with your niece and nephews, and they go speak to somebody, and the person don't even speak back. You gonna be hot.
I know myself.
I know me, and Tony be like hi, and I be like.
But this is why, like,
you better say hi back.
Brad, cause I will slap hot fire out of you. For real, right. I would tell my nephew, "Hey, take them over there," and I would slap hot fire.
Right, I just gotta tell him, don't tell everybody hi, Tony, because if somebody don't speak to you, or give you a weird eye, then I'm gonna say something.
For real,
so that's tough. I understand that. But the original question of like marriage and women and men, the polyamorous relationships.
Yeah, I just feel like it's.
I don't understand it. I know we were talking about Dr. Umar in the beginning. Yeah. He's like he got to have 2 women.
I don't. I just feel like
how do you love correctly 2 people?
My whole thing is this.
Or more.
My problem with people who say this. Why are you saying this and you don't even have 1 yet? How do you know that you're going to need 2?
I think a lot of times when you talk about men, I think men can have 1 person. They just choose not to.
But that's what I'm saying. How do you know that you need 2 people? For you to so boldly say, I have to have 2, you don't even have 1 wife. And here's the thing, like all these poly people, whatever, no disrespect, But
I think it's all about sex.
I
think it's all for men. I believe it's all about sex.
For women, I think it's all about validation.
It's all about validation of having someone. But the thing is, guess what? No matter what, you're not going to be happy.
You're going to be empty.
It's not going to be enough.
Because the thing about it is, if you would fill your own cup and then meet someone else, if you would just do that damn step first, one person is all the fuck you need.
Because guess what? If you're not satisfied with one woman, you ain't going to be satisfied with two. You're going to come home to two women all the time. You're going to be like, I got to find somebody else. You're going to have a third and a fourth.
For real, what?
For a woman, you're going to be happy you married, but when you see that man come home and he go with the other wife, how you going to feel?
Let me tell you something. Don't come to me with it. Because I don't get, that's not something I want to do.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't think that. I think that to be in a polyamorous relationship, I think that people suffer. I think that's a suffering relationship.
It is. But the thing about it is, you were suffering alone for you to be into that. Whether you are male,
you gotta compromise.
Whether you are male or female,
to do that.
Both are suffering. You know what I mean?
Now you have people that say it's an economic thing, and
how
I want to support two women for their dreams, and they'll be able to do these things, and then I was having this conversation. Very few people who I was having this conversation.
I was having this conversation with Erica, and my girls, really everybody. We was all having this conversation, and like I told them, I came to the conclusion that it's retarded. This is why. Because
yeah, that R word.
Yeah, listen. Excuse my vernacular.
These words expressed by the hands of Nkiru the Love Guru. Tony Gillen has nothing to add to that.
Listen, this is the reason.
The mentally disabled people.
No, I don't mean it in that form.
I'm just saying.
But listen,
just keeping people off of our ass here.
We don't call them that. So
that is not. But that is a derogatory term that I will not use.
Anyway, back to my statement.
What were you trying to say?
It's ridiculous because your whole notion is I'm doing this to build wealth, right? To build nations.
To build wealth and nations.
Okay, what makes more sense? I'm going to go and get 3 women, okay? Don't have enough money for all 3 of these women, so all 3 of them still working, okay?
I got the money.
Okay, but all 3 of them still working. I'm working, and we trying to build this nation. Or you get one fucking wife, which you should. Get you a friend who also has one fucking wife. Get you another friend who also has one fucking wife. And get you another friend that have another fucking wife. And then y'all buy a huge plot of land and you build 4 houses on the plot of land and you build a small community. That's nation building.
Good.
That is healthy. Because guess what? I'm not worried. Everybody's going home to their one husband and their one wife. So it's not about that. Because if you could easily do that and still build nations. You could do that. But it's not about that. You're saying that it's about that.
It's not about that at all.
Exactly. You're saying
it's about a man having more than one woman, and it's about a woman just being married.
Yep.
Just having a wife or having a husband. Because
it's an easy solution to show that it's about that's not what it's about.
It's like you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
There you go.
It's a business.
I'll make you a wife if I can have.
Not even business, honestly. You ain't making no money from it.
You're not making nothing. A lot of cases.
You're not even building. You're not growing either. Like you're not growing emotionally.
Y'all all living in the same one house. You would have been living
y'all each are giving each other like snacks.
Y'all live in the same house.
Each other.
You can't get no credit off of the government on your taxes on it. You can't do shit with that. So what is it? What is it that this is? What is this providing for?
I can't love 2 women.
I couldn't love 2.
I couldn't do that.
I couldn't.
How do you go home as a man and be like, I love you, baby, and then your wife's sitting right here too? How do you even do that? I love you so much. You are amazing. I love you so much. You can't do that. That don't even work.
This doesn't work at all. This way.
Both of them gonna be like, you full of shit.
I would hope.
Yes, I mean, unless they both be like, oh, he loves me more. Then you go to who loves who more, and now one person feels left out, and now you got to divvy up your time between. Look, man.
And then everybody gonna want their own house.
People love to bring in scripture and they bring in how Solomon had all of these wives. But people don't even get
First of all,
people don't even understand that God was not pleased with Solomon having all these wives.
No.
That was the culture of that time, but that was not what God asked for you to do. And honestly, Solomon's demise was because he was pulled in so many directions by all these women.
I'm sorry, y'all. My dog is playing with a ball.
And so my mind is like, look, that's not real. You're taking something that just because it was in the Bible don't mean it was right. It was just in the Bible. It was a story of the Bible.
It was a rape in the Bible.
Yeah, it was rape in the Bible. It was cheating in the Bible.
They wanted to cut a baby in half in the Bible.
Yeah, was that good? No, it was in there. But if we're using your logic, you're supposed to kill people. You're supposed to cut babies in half. You're
supposed to throw people in pits and sell them into slavery. Yeah. You're supposed to trick your blind daddy into giving you.
What is It's a saying that this one doctor that I followed, a doctor, what the heck is his name? John McDougall. He says people love to hear good news about their bad habits. Mm-hmm. You know, anything that you want to do, you're going to look for every supporting piece of argument to make it seem like what you want to do is right.
Yep.
You know, and unfortunately, I mean, I was telling you earlier, every woman, one thing that's sad is that there are some women who will never, I don't know if it's sad, but one thing in reality is that some women are never going to be a wife. Mm-hmm. Some women are never going to be a mother. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, to me that's kind of sad.
It's very sad.
It's sad to me.
As a person who
in order for you to be a wife, you have to have a husband.
Yeah.
In a heterosexual relationship, you know, you have to have a husband, and unfortunately, there are a lot of men who are not
husbands.
They're not interested in it. They just want the physical aspect of you. They don't want you. Mm-hmm. And you know, for the women who crave that validation, that's even worse.
Yep.
You know, but just the way of life, I guess. I don't know.
It's sad. Are we gonna touch on this stuff?
So, are we going to go to our aspirations? Our affirmations?
From last week?
Yes. So, affirmations and journal prompt. Go ahead, give your affirmation.
So, the affirmation from last week was, I will do my very best always. I am entitled to strive for my happy. I celebrate all who are striving for their best. The one that I worked with the most was the first one. I will do my very best always. That's really big for me because I am low-key a perfectionist. And when I don't do things, I think my very best, it makes me very, very sad. And it's a little discouraging sometimes. So working with that affirmation, I will do my very best always. It made me understand that even though it's not quote unquote picture perfect, I am doing my very best. You know what I mean? And that helps me to not be so anal about things. Leave some things till tomorrow if they need to be left till tomorrow, as long as I gave my very best effort. I believe that this is something that you utilize with your daughter. When she's taking her test, did you do your very best? And then that's all that matters. But so that's something that I work with a lot was, am I doing my very best? Am I giving it my all? Well, then that's all that matters, you know. So, yeah.
When I looked at these affirmations, I think all of them spoke to a certain degree. If I had to choose one, I think I am entitled to strive for my happiness. I am in this place in my life that, and I think this was brought on by my divorce. This was like what catapulted me was that it's about me.
Yeah. It's all about
sounds selfish. Me, and maybe it is to a certain degree.
Forget about
but
you.
My goal is to be happy.
That's right.
Now, happiness isn't always going to be be reachable. Because there are going to be some situations where I have to compromise, where it may be my happiness. But I am always focused on bettering myself and bringing the best out of who I am. And if there's ever a situation that brings out the worst in me, I will leave. I don't care how much time I put in.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money I've added, I put into it. I don't care about what could happen, the fallout, what's going to be broken up. I do not care. If my life, because one thing, my divorce, or prior to divorce, the point of my life I was in where I was miserable, I never want to feel that ever again. Feeling like I'm not even valued, I'm not worthy, I'm not wanted, nothing, unappreciated. I never want to feel that ever again. And if I ever if I get close to it,
I'm out.
I
know that's right.
I'm not even
finna stick around.
It don't even matter no more.
I feel that
so
1,000%.
I am entitled to strive for my happiness. That is me. That's me for real, because that's important to me. That is really
that's real though.
So the journal prompt of last week was, talk about a time where you lifted someone up. So I thought a little bit about that. The thing about me is that I feel like I've always, like,
me too.
I have so many stories to pull from.
Me too.
And a lot of times, like, it was unintentional. Like, it just fell in my lap.
Yeah.
I remember when, this is actually the story I use when I'm talking about how I got to be a counselor. Because before being licensed or whatever, before even choosing to go in this field, people always came to me to talk to me. People randomly would just talk to me about their life. And all I might have said was, hello, how you doing? How's your day going? But something with me always brought people to just bare their soul. And it was one particular time in college where me and one of my friends, Gio, we went out. We had
shout out to Gio, friend of the podcast.
My best friend. And we were sitting there talking, and we had this waitress at this restaurant. She came and she was like, hey, how you all doing? Here's the menus. My name is so-and-so. And she was just like, what would y'all like to order? And I was just like, we told her what we wanted. I was like, how are you doing today? And she's like, okay, I'm doing okay. I'm like, you sure? I'm like, you sure you're doing okay? And from there, this woman spilled her life. She talked about how she was working, trying to support these children, and how her sister was on drugs, and how she had to take her children for her to take care of them, and how she was unsure of how to do it because she had never been a mother before, how she was looking for a daycare for them but was kind of just struggling to find something, and just really having a hard time dealing with it all. And I'm just like,
child,
wow. Like I just talked to her about, like, okay, we go to school at Missouri State. Shout out to Missouri State.
Friends of the podcast, institutions of the podcast, and how we knew, like, the resource board they would share on our student union about stuff, and we like, well, we're going to give me your number, and I'm going to share all the information I can find for you, because there are plenty of people on campus that do babysitting. If you want to go to school or whatever, they have financial aid. I told her about so much. Like, I mean, Gio added into it too, but I remember her feeling so much better. Like, she was happy after that, after our meeting, and we talked a little bit after that meeting. But I just remember how great she felt, because she, like, bared it all. Like, you serving us food, and then you just blah like that, right?
So that was the time that sticks out of my head the most.
I can't. I don't know. Like, it's hard for me. This is a hard journal prompt for me because, like, I'm similar to Tony. This is just a way of life to me, lifting people up. And I typically don't talk about the things that I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, trying to find something to talk about is like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So, I really don't know. Like, I don't know of a one that I'm comfortable with sharing. Like, this is something that I did, you know what I mean? Because I try my best to be as selfless as possible when doing things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so sometimes I do things and literally after it's done, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't I don't hold on to it as much. You know what I mean? I try to just be the person that I needed to be in the moment of that situation, and then I move forward. There are some things that I remember, you know what I mean? Of course, for like closer friends and stuff like that, but there have been people on the street, just complete strangers. Okay, Spirit is, thank you, God. God just gave me some, because listen.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so there was this time I was going to Ross to spend money that I ain't had no business spending.
Ross.
No, I was picking up some curtains. You know, these curtains I was telling y'all about.
Curtains.
But I was on my way to Ross, and I drove into the Loughborough Commons little shopping plaza. Okay. And as I was driving in, there was a bi-state bus driving out. And as I saw the bi-state bus driving out, there was a young black man running after the bus, flailing his hands, running the bus. And the bus just kept on driving. And I tried to, like, you know how you try to, like, inconvenience other people to, like, help other people? You know what I mean? I tried to, like, stop the bus, but I was too slow. The bus, you know, they was out of there. They was gone. And he was leaving one way or another.
So I got a route to run.
I don't care nothing about you or that man flailing his hand. I'm out of here.
So you should have been there standing there when I got there.
I ain't got time to play with you. And so he saw me. The guy saw me. He locked eyes with me. I locked eyes with him. And I didn't say anything. I went and I parked my car and I started walking into Ross. And as I was walking into the Ross, he walked up to me. He said, "Were you trying to get my attention?" Mind you, I didn't say nothing to this man. I literally just looked at him. He looked at me. He said, "Were you trying to get my attention?" I said, "Oh yeah, I saw that you were trying to get on the bus. I was trying to stop the bus, but you know, wasn't fast enough." And he was like, yeah. And then I was like, "Where are you going?" And he was like, "Well, I was trying to make it to the Grand Station." You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, that's on my way home. I would take this person to the Grand Station, but I got to get my curtains first. So I said, okay, I'm gonna take you when I come out. So I went in the store, bought my curtains, called my good friend DeMonica. I said, "Hey, DeMonica, I'm about to take this stranger to the Grand Station. I need you to stay on FaceTime with me the whole time and take a screenshot of this person's face when I get there, just in case I get snatched and end up with sex trafficking." You know, because you got to be safe nowadays. You can't just do good deeds. People been trying to ship you over into, you know, Pakistan somewhere, you know.
Right.
Got tired. You know what I mean? I don't speak no Pakistani. I need to stay right here. So I get in the car and I take him to I'm taking him up there. He's telling me about his life. He's a young guy. He's telling me about his life and everything. And the whole time, I'm trying to figure out why God had me take this man to this. I'm like, why is he in my car? You know what I mean? Like, so I had this thing where I talk to people to try to figure out what is it? What information is it that I'm supposed to be giving you? You know what I mean? And the whole time we're driving, we about make it up to Gravois. And he's like, "Oh, I left my phone." He done left his phone sitting next to the Ross waiting for me to come out. Mm-hmm. So now he's really panicking. He was like, "I left my phone. I'm really going to get fired now." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Well, the reason why I was running was because I just got this job and I got to make it all the way to Chesterfield and I got to be there by a certain..." Now, mind you, y'all, I don't know where y'all listening from, but this is a mighty long way. Mm-hmm. From South City to Chesterfield on a bus.
That's a long ride.
Child, that's a mighty long way just to be a cook. You know what I mean? I was like, and when he said that,
mighty long way. You brought me from a mighty long way.
And so I was like, well, maybe this is God's way of like, I'm supposed to speak in some encouragement into him. So I was like, you have to learn to trust into God. You know what I mean? Like God, I said, sometimes things are not going to work the way that you want. For real. I swear on my life. I said, things are not going to work the way that you want them to work. However, if you trust God, I promise you they will work better than you ever thought that they would work. So I'm telling him this. I turn around, we go back, we driving. We go back to the place. We get there, his phone is still sitting right there where he left it. And he was like, I can't believe it. I said, that was God. That's why. I said, now, what we learned from this situation is we have to pay better attention to what we are doing.
He like, what are you still taking me to work though?
I took him. So then we turned around and we went back up towards the Grand Station. So we get like around Russell area, around Shaw. So we get up there to the Shaw area. We see the bus that left him, right? And I see the bus, and the bus is trying to lead somebody else.
Damn bus driver, he's like, look,
he didn't give
I'm about to have everybody day.
He didn't give a damn this day.
Said,
okay?
I pissed everybody off. My wife did curse me out before I left the house.
So I drove in front of the bus as slowly as I could, just because it was an old lady running. That really pissed me off. Like old lady running. It made me so mad, T. I was like, all I could imagine.
I can just picture an old lady running like, woo. All right, I'm almost there. You know, old people be running in slow motion.
And you know, this is in COVID, so they got the mask on and everything.
They can't breathe, about to die because the mask is
I'm like, what kind of heartless mother? I was mad, okay? So then, I slowed the bus down fast enough for the lady to get on the bus.
Oh, the lady like, hello, have mercy.
So the lady got on the bus, and then we drove off, and he made it to the station. I said, see, not only did you get to where you need to go, you got there quicker than you thought you were going to get there. I said, sometimes you have to learn how to slow down, and you have to learn how to trust God, or whatever the case may be.
Job dealing with me.
Child, listen, first of all, they would have lost it. They would have lost me when they told me to catch a bus from South City to Chesterfield for less than $15 an hour.
Because I be shopping in them areas. And when I remember going to Raising Cane's. I never forget that. I went to Raising Cane's in like Ellisville. And this lady was in the drive-thru working, a black lady, and I was like, hey, what you doing out here? You live out this way? And I didn't say that. That's you know, that's not nice or not kind or whatever. I was like, do you live out this way? And she's like, no, I live in, what she say? She's like city, some like South City or something. Yeah. Like, girl, you work all the way in Ellisville, Missouri at Raising Cane's? Like, yeah, I take the bus to get out here or whatever. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why do people work this far?
But that's the thing, when you don't know any different, because I had told him, I was like, you know that there are other places, a little closer, because he was talking about how he was trying to find, he was having difficulty finding a place of his own, because he stays with other family members or whatever.
Working nowhere I can't live.
I said, but the thing about it, I was like, it's because you're wasting so much money trying to get to a job that's not paying you a lot of money.
That's why I never signed up to work at Six Flags.
Child, that was such a scam. I worked at Six Flags. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself.
My brother worked there when he was younger. Shoot. Had to pay all that money to ride that little
you gotta pay for everything.
And then you got a whole paycheck.
You gotta pay for the outfit. You got to pay for the food while you eating there. You got to pay for everything.
Right. Crazy. Speaking of that, you saw that video?
What video?
Where the people was like stealing the turkey legs from the Turkey Hut place?
No.
It was the security for Six Flags this is in St. Louis. The security from Six Flags. Actually, Dirk showed it on his page. Shout out to Dirk, friend of the podcast.
Friend of the podcast.
Dirk actually got a job working with the news somehow.
Why you say somehow?
No, not somehow. Not he's qualified to work, but he got a job working with. He said Hot 95, Hot 104.1 and 96.3 R&B for the Lou.
Okay,
he's the newest member with those stations. But here's the video. I can't put it on here, but you can turn it up if you want to.
Child, let me see.
So, yeah. I can't really tell what's happening, but basically, like, these people are stealing turkey legs from Six Flags. how do we get to a place in the world where we still in turkey legs from Six Flags?
Wow, Lord. But you know what? And this just goes. People are gonna break.
And then the security caught one girl, and you heard the people in the background like, "So you gonna arrest her for stealing a turkey leg? Come on, y'all, a turkey leg, really? Yes, really. It ain't yours. What you mean, really? Like it's they fault for chastising y'all? Man, please. People are crazy.
People are doing it, but I feel like people are breaking.
Breaking? What do you mean?
Like mentally.
We get into a whole nother topic. Go ahead.
We just flowed into the real topic. Mentally.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I feel like people are mentally, like, it's a lot going on. Like, we are not acknowledging the fact that we went through a whole Pandora Express, panoramic, a whole Papados, a whole Ponderosa. Can't say the other word.
So what you mean? You mean like people are like, because we've been locked in for, I mean, honestly, let's be honest here.
For real.
People who have gone through this pandemic, but people ain't really been, it's a lot of people that did not take this seriously. They were still out here doing their thing. They just put a mask on.
Yeah, but people was doing their thing, but a lot of people, some people, you have to understand, some people didn't take it seriously because they didn't understand why they couldn't take it seriously. Like, a lot of people were very extroverted, and they don't, and not having human connection and being around people is detrimental to a lot of people.
True.
You know what I mean? And so when you have stuff like this, a complete shift in society, and you don't have anybody there should have been free counseling sessions for every American during this pandemic.
Honestly, there are free counseling agencies out here. That's a story for another day.
But it should have been pushed the same way them damn mask was. Because you had people going through and creating psychological situations for themselves, or dealing with things that they never even knew that they had going on with themselves for the first time in their lives. And you had nobody, listen, America is a as a nation, I honestly don't feel like respects mental health at all.
Nope.
So when you're talking about
that, I think they do, but for certain people.
Yeah, we get into that too.
But I don't know. I can agree there that people are breaking. I mean, I also think before the pandemic, people were crazy too. People were doing a lot of irrational things too before the pandemic.
But that's what I'm saying. You've been doing crazy stuff, but you never had a chance. You never were forced to look at yourself until you were all. It's like when they say when people go to jail and you put them in a hole and they go crazy because you're forced to look at yourself.
Well, you can't really see in the hole.
But you're only there with yourself.
Yeah.
It's only you.
You know, people actually can lose their eyesight because they're in a hole.
I believe it.
Because you're not supposed to be in pitch black that long. Mm-hmm. And if you have long periods of time where you're in pitch black, that means your pupils are dilating. And your pupils are not supposed to dilate for long periods of time. And so when you're in a hole, your pupils are dilated for extended periods of time. Therefore, you lose your ability to see. So
that's inhumane.
So when you go back into like light, it's hard to deal with it because your pupils have been dilated for so long. Mm. It's crazy. I had learned this I was watching something where they were talking about like people that go blind because they've been in the hole for so long.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. But yeah, I saw that video and then I think about all the shootings that's been happening, and it's just like, wow, like. Yeah,
they just had a shooting up in Miami.
Yeah, the 4 people got out of their car and opened fire on a crowd of people. 21 people were injured. Yeah. 2 people died. 2 people were murdered. I mean, you think about the shooting that happened in St. Louis at the 2 bar and found out it was a young lady and she opened fire and killed 1 man and injured 3 other people.
It's crazy.
It's like, and that's been every day. Most of it, like, like Real STL News. Shout out to Real STL News. Shout out to Ade, my brother, friend of the podcast.
Yes.
They're always reporting, and it's a shooting. Mm-hmm. It's like multiple times. Sunday at 11 a.m. shooting. Monday night at 7 p.m. shooting. Saturday morning 8 a.m. shooting. It's like it's always a shooting, and I be thinking like, who picks up their gun and says, "I'm going to go shoot this person"?
What?
How do you? And maybe that's just not my life. Obviously, it's not my life. It's not my reality. But for someone to have a reality where that's a solution. It's like, wow. You know, I carry every day. I pray I never have to use this gun.
Child.
I pray. And I'll be looking at I'll be walking different places. I'll be like, man, nah, I ain't gonna go this way because I don't want no problems, or I ain't gonna do this because I don't want no problems. If I even go places where I can't even bring it, I'm like, man, nah, I don't know. You know, so I just be so cautious.
Yeah. But
man, it's like, it's crazy just to see those stories sometimes, and I feel bad. And the thing is, this is only one place it's happening. It happens everywhere. You know, you see a lot of it happening in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and you see those signs that say "Stop! We must stop killing
ourselves."
I think we must stop killing ourselves. Mm-hmm. But it's like somebody ain't got it in they grass. Somebody don't have their sign in their yard because we getting killed out here
for real, in each and every way, and that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
that's like, a lot of pressure every time.
We getting it from
every side.
We are getting it from law enforcement. We are getting it from people outside of our community. We're getting it from people inside of our community.
Regular racist people.
Yeah, it's just like, man, there's no safety for black people.
Nope. You're getting it in the hospitals. You're getting it everywhere.
Yes, hospitals and school and jobs and
prison.
It's just like,
it's no break. So when you have a person like Naomi Osaka, who says she wants to take a break, you know who that is?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that it's crazy that you have the backlash that has been going on.
I'm sorry.
With her.
The video is still playing.
You know, she's been receiving an excessive amount of backlash for standing up for mental health and deciding that she doesn't want to participate with the communicating with the press for the French Open while she's trying to do her job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people look at that situation and they talk to her crazy and say things like, oh, you know, maybe she will behave better tomorrow, or, you know, behave. But it's the same exact thing that they did to Serena Williams. You know what I mean?
People talk so crazy about black women. They could never say that about a white woman.
No.
Tell a white woman to behave.
She gonna burn this whole motherfucking earth.
You are canceled indefinitely. Tell a white woman to behave. What?
Man.
Be a man and tell a white woman to behave. Please. You can tell people they say the saying, not the saying, but the truth is like the black woman is the most disrespected demographic in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, you can say and do anything to a black woman and nobody will even care.
Yeah. You
know.
But she decided, she just got back in America. She decided no. She said no.
So what happened in the story?
So
basically what?
So basically it started because she didn't want to have communication with the press while she was trying to compete in the French Open. Okay. You know, like how Marshawn Lynch. You know, like you got to talk to the press and do all that. She didn't want to do all that because she felt like that it would be counterproductive to her mental health for her to do so.
I want to keep my head in the game.
And so they were like, well, if you don't speak to the press, then you're going to be fined. You can be fined upwards to $20,000 for not speaking to the press. And they got upset because she said, that's fine. I pay it. And she basically was trying to start a advocacy for players' mental health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all players can't pay the fine. You know what I mean? But because she is an Olympic champion, she has a little more capital to throw around, and she's an activist. You know what I mean? So of course she's gonna do everything that she does. It's going to be for her as well as for her people at the same time. So she used her stance to make a point, and they didn't like it, and they made the statement that she needs to behave, or maybe she will behave better.
That's the word.
Child, I just don't even understand. So she made a final decision to withdraw from the competition completely.
Good for her.
And everybody, you know, it's mixed reviews, and people are saying, you know, why would she do that, and blah blah. And there's a lot of people saying, you know, it is a great thing that she's doing that, and she's paving the way for mental health, and when it comes to jobs, because it also talks about, like we talked about this, I believe last week or the week before, but a lot of these regular lay people like me and you who are deciding not to go on some of these jobs anymore because they're not paying them what they need to be paying. And the mental cost for working on that job is high compared to the monetary gain that they're retrieving from those jobs. And it's the same sort of thing, that same sort of notion of, I choose my mental health.
Yeah.
What you're offering me for monetary compensation is not worth the mental anguish that it takes to receive it.
True.
You know what I mean?
Let me say this also.
Go ahead.
As a professional athlete, one of your obligations is to talk to the media, because the media is who promotes the events.
That's fine.
And
but
so
also,
what do you say to that in terms of athletes saying, I don't want to talk to the media because it affects my mental health? And
I feel that
if that's the job you signed up for.
But I feel like in the way that she was asking, there's nothing wrong with her saying that, because she's trying to prepare to do her job. Her job, small portion of her job is talking to the media.
Okay.
The large portion of her job, the 90% portion of her job, is performing her job. And if me speaking to the media prevents me from actually performing my job, then I feel like I shouldn't have to speak to the media until after I have performed my job. And that's what she's saying. I don't want to talk to... She didn't say she didn't want to talk to the media at all. She said she didn't want to talk to the media while she was preparing to compete in the French Open, because it wasn't good for her mental stability. It's almost like when you're in the zone. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you're about to go into the huddle and you're in the zone, and you're like, imagine that you're playing football. You done practice, you done did everything, you done did all your film, blah blah blah, all the stuff. And before you done did your walkthrough on the field or whatever the case may be, and now you're in the locker room, right? Before you go on the field, you're in the locker room and you're trying to get in the zone to be able to compete. And a fleet of motherfucking goddamn reporters come in the locker room while you're trying to get your mind together, and they want to have a whole debate with you about what you're thinking. Tell us how you're preparing your mind. Tell us what you're thinking. I don't want to talk to you. I'm trying to do my job. Let's talk about what is going on after I've done my job. We could talk about whatever once I've done my job. But you trying to talk to me before I do what I need to do? How is that helping me be the best version of what I need to be? That's only going to create issues for me if I can't perform because I'm distracted, which is only going to create more mental anguish for me in the long run.
True.
So I understand that, especially for her sport in particular, because that's a sport in which you do have a lot of back and forth in that situation. You know what I mean? Where it's a little different in football. Like, you don't have those problems in football. You ain't talking to them to the end. So they already played.
I would wonder if she, because in reading some of the things about her, it says she's been dealing with depression since the match she had with Serena Williams. And so I'm wondering, has she been actively working on her mental health through this?
I think she has. Because she's a big, because a lot of the stuff that was going on with Serena Williams, the press made that the issue.
What do you mean?
The pitting against one another. You know what I mean? Trying to make it this versus this. And she was telling them there is no this, but I look at Serena as like my tennis mother. You know what I mean? It's not a like y'all want to make it something
so
that is.
The impression was like almost like, oh, you beat her, so you're better. It's like, wait a minute, whoa.
Yeah, she's a legend.
She's a legend. Like I don't have no beef with her. We had a match, and so yeah.
And it always becomes a thing of pitting
one against the other.
Just like
rivalry or whatever.
Just like I thought it was pretty cool that
the old vet versus the new phenom.
Yeah, just like how they have Coco and Venus playing together right now.
Who's Coco?
That Coco is the other young black tennis player that's coming up in the ranks, and she's
Venus,
playing.
though?
She's playing with Venus. She's playing doubles. They're playing doubles together.
Okay, so I wouldn't put Venus on the same. As much as I love Venus Williams, I wouldn't put her on the same like field in terms of Serena though, because
oh yeah, Venus can play. You know what I mean?
Because Venus hasn't won as much though.
But she won. That's because she
early on, and then when Serena came into the fold,
but they both been playing at the same time. Venus ain't won because she playing against Serena.
Yeah, that's what
you know
I'm
what I mean. But think about that. If you don't have Serena playing, then number 2 is Venus. You know what I mean? It's almost like Mario and Luigi. You know what I mean?
Where's Venus Williams ranked?
Venus is pretty up there. Yeah, I put some respect on Venus. But she's playing with Coco right now. Playing doubles. And I like that they're doing that. You know what I mean?
Her current ranking is 102 in the world.
Wins. What are her wins?
Her career titles? Mm-hmm. So it says, let's see here. All right. So, she's won. Okay, so Grand Slam finals. For the Grand Slam, she has 7 titles, 9 runner-ups.
That's a lot, T.
It is, I'm not saying she's garbage. I'm just saying in terms of when people think about Venus and Serena, like when people are facing Venus, I don't look at it the same way as people facing Serena.
But no, they're not facing each other in doubles. You know, when you're playing in doubles,
I'm just talking about in terms of like the greatest tennis players.
Of course, but I'm just saying, like I think it's dope that when it came to Coco. Because Coco is like under Naomi.
Well, they always win doubles. But they got 14 doubles, titles.
The reason why I brought that up is instead of Venus and Serena playing together, you know what I mean? Vet playing with a rookie or a young amateur, you know what I mean? To further double down on that, we are not competitors. It's not this new black versus old black type. I'm gonna edge you out type thing. We're grooming.
It's not a good record though.
Yeah.
114 and 258. She had a 75.9% winning percentage. Mm-hmm. The highest ranking she ever had was February 25th, 2002, where she was ranked number 1. But yeah, she's ranked number 1 right now. Okay. So Ashley Barty is ranked number 1. Number 2 is Naomi Osaka. Mm-hmm. Where's Serena? Serena's ranked number 8 right now. Mm-hmm. Simona, number 3. Ariana from Belarus, ranked number 4. Sophia is number 5. Sophia Kenin, is she black?
I don't know. Where is Coco?
White. She's white. Coco. Okay. Is that her real name? Mm-hmm. Oh, but she's not in here. She ain't ranked top 17 at least. I don't see her name anywhere here.
Her name is Coco Gauff.
Yeah, I don't see a Coco Gauff.
Right here.
No, I see that problem. I'm talking about in the rankings. This is the WimbledonSports.com, and they did their rankings. She is
the youngest player ranked in the top 100 by the Women's Tennis Association.
Yeah, that's different.
Her career high ranking of the world is is number 25 in singles, number 42 in doubles. She's the youngest person to do it.
Okay.
She was born in 2004.
Well, yeah, I think that Naomi bowing out because of her, that's the prime example of striving for happiness.
Yes.
Because they're let me tell you what.
Corey.
When
Corey is her real name.
Oh, okay.
Corey Golf. But they just call her Coco. Cori.
Some people will say, like, I always say the same. There's no amount of money that is worth my peace. Mm-hmm. Like, there are times where, like, maybe you leave a situation and you feel like, oh, but I gotta pay this, or this person owes me that. I can't stop dealing with this person because they owe me this much money, or I gotta, like, going through divorce, you gotta pay for a lawyer, or you might have to pay child support. Mm-hmm. Okay, the fear of that is not worth my peace.
Fact.
I will pay whatever. If I'm indebted to this person for the rest of my life in order to get away from them,
at least I'm happy.
At least I'm free.
That poor boy.
So no amount of money is enough for me to jeopardize my mental health. And Naomi Osaka, friend of the podcast. I applaud her for her stance, and I hope that I wonder what kind of change this is going to happen.
That's what I'm looking at, especially because
and just sports in general.
It just is so new, and it just started this week.
She picked up her bowl. She like, excuse me, food, please.
I just
water.
Fed her before y'all got here. I don't be starving my dog.
Yeah.
But for you and the listeners.
Okay.
But anyway, that just threw me off. But yeah, I think just because it's new, it'll be interesting to see where this is going to go and how many people are going, because there are a lot of people that are backing her right now and speaking up on her behalf. So it'll be interesting to see what type of sparks this will initiate. So the topic of today is the struggle to advocate for your mental health. I got a couple questions for you, T.
Oh man, what's the question?
Question number 1: is it worth it?
Is your mental health worth
it? To go through the struggle to advocate for your mental health.
Is what okay? So I think that you're asking me: is it worth it?
Is it worth to do the struggle?
To go through the backlash you're going to get from advocating for your mental health?
Yes.
I believe ultimately yes, because at the end of the day, people can only be outraged for so long.
Yeah.
You know, you think about like Muhammad Ali and how he said, "I'm not fighting in the Vietnam War.
I will go to jail.
I will go to jail. I will lose everything before I go fight in this war that I don't even believe in.
That people that ain't did nothing to me."
Yeah. In a world where people don't give a damn about me. Mm-hmm. And how much he suffered. Mm-hmm. He suffered for a long time. He was hated for a long time by America. And he had to deal with it. He had to walk the streets of wherever he was from or wherever he lived at the time and still look people in the eye and move and do his thing. Like, he did that for his own mental health. He did that for his own life. Yeah. You know, and so if you ask him if it was worth it, I would say, I mean, he's not longer living, but, you know, if you ask him of that, then he would be like, yeah, I'll do it again if I had a chance. You know? So I think that the struggle that you go through, though it can be difficult, I think in the end, it's going to feel so much better. Right. You know, you're going to realize that what you had really wasn't even real. Yeah. You know, and if your life crumbles, if things that you've accomplished crumble because you decide to focus on you, then it really wasn't even for you in the first place.
That's so true.
You know.
Next.
If me caring for myself meant that I got to lose everything,
then I never had it.
I never had it.
That's right.
You know, because what was I doing to uphold it? Being somebody else? Being fake? Putting other people before me? You know, so yeah.
Okay, so next question I got for you is, why is it so underrated in black culture?
With mental health? Or advocating for your mental health?
Yeah.
I think that's for multiple reasons. I think that in the black community, are we talking about the community or are you talking about this culture in general, people?
Both.
I don't know about culture because I can't speak for other groups of people. I would say from the black community, I think that mental health is something that we've never really thought about because we've been struggling with mental health from the beginnings of the America. You know, mental health has never been something that we had a chance to really sit and deal with.
Do you think it has a lot to do with spirituality? Why?
I think there are multiple reasons why mental health is not something that we focus all our energies on. I think that we talk about generational trauma. You have that. You know, you think about for men in general, like not going and talking to somebody about your problems and just dealing with it and being a man and keeping that in, keeping that to yourself. And you know, you got that, and then you got for also black people, like you can't trust everybody with your information. You know, you think about the psychology field. The psychology field has and is at times been very racist and very biased.
Child started rough race.
And you think about a person who's gone through all this trauma and they're trying to raise a family, and they finally sit down and talk to a therapist, and then they tell the therapist one thing that goes against the mandated report. Now they get reported, and now they lose all this stuff because they reported about a therapist that's supposed to be able to listen to everything they had to say.
I think it's important to also, I don't know if I'm sure you did because you're a licensed professional, but I think it's important to note that there's a difference between mainstream psychology and psychology for African Americans. It's a whole completely different set of things because there are a lot of things that go on in our culture that is not indicative of quote unquote mainstream culture.
We get denigrated for a lot of things that are part of our culture by this white's patriarchal viewpoint from the field of psychology and therapy. You think about like discipline.
Yeah.
You know, we as African Americans, a lot of times we discipline our children a certain type of way, and mainstream psychology is trying to say that, oh, black people are abusing their children, and they're reframing it as abuse. Now, of course, there are people out there who are abusing their children, and that's in any race of people.
Facts.
But
no
I think that the way that a lot of African Americans have learned to discipline their children is based on the environment that we are under in this country. Like, we don't have the luxury of disciplining our children in alternative ways that maybe, you know, our white counterparts or our Asian counterparts can. Like, our children don't get a chance to really talk back and challenge, and we don't really get a chance to really do that. Not saying that it's right, just saying that's just the reality.
Nope.
We don't get to talk back to
your death
to law enforcement.
In some places.
We don't get to say, hey, this is not, I have a right to this. We don't get a chance to say that. You're going to get shot and killed.
Child.
So you have to, as a child, you have to instill in your children, if whatever I tell you to do, if the authority tells you to do this, you do this.
Yep.
You say yes, sir, or no, ma'am. I don't see a lot of, now, maybe it's the people I've been around, I don't see a lot of white people, white children saying yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am. I just don't see it. Whereas black kids are taught early on, you be respectful to authority, because that could be life and death.
Yep. If someone is challenged,
so we gotta discipline our children a different type of way. But when you look at the systems that are in place, they try to denigrate us on how we raise our children, not realizing that the environment that we have, that our children are growing up under.
Yeah,
so we're teaching our children to survive.
For real, because a parent whooping their child, however it may sound, but a parent whooping their child for something is a difference between I'd rather whoop my child and they live to see another day than you get a hold of them and take them out.
Yeah, I like the worst I can do to you is give you a spanking.
Yeah.
The world is gonna kill you.
Yeah.
The world is gonna take your job, your livelihood, your life. You know, and I get irritated.
And this is why I was crying at the beginning of the podcast. Here.
I get irritated when I hear black people talk about how you're taking the slave master's way of we discipline us and we're using it. No. What are you talking about? You're falling for this too. You are falling for this because you were abused. Now, we're not talking about abuse. We're talking about discipline.
Discipline, yeah.
Abuse is I'm mad. I'm gonna beat the hell out of you.
Abuse could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
Abuse could be refraining
I
from
can call you out of your name.
But also, not giving a child adequate discipline can be abuse.
Exactly.
Because you're creating a false narrative of the reality that child lives in. And when that child goes out and applies the viewpoint that you gave that child, and it doesn't fit reality, you're putting them in a dangerous situation.
You're not preparing them for the real world.
Exactly. You're not preparing that child for reality.
And I don't know, that irritates me because, you know, I was a child who was whooped or whatever, you know, and my mom was not an abuser. I would never say she ever abused me. What I would say is, even when I was spanked or whatever, my mom talked to me. My mom let me know, okay, this is what you did wrong. This is why you're getting in trouble. This is what you could do better next time.
That's right.
You know, and these are things you can do. And I would get my spanking. And somebody asked me, why couldn't she just tell you that? Because she needed to drive home the point of that. Just because you do something wrong doesn't mean somebody's just gonna talk to you. There are real consequences.
That's not how that works when your skin is black in America. It's not how it works when your skin is black in America.
Yes.
Not when you had a 6-year-old baby getting arraigned for damaging public property over picking a flower. That's not how that works in America.
Right.
We not gonna sit up here and act like this is the problem with people. We taking it all the way back to season 1.
Oh Lord.
Expectations. Y'all expect America to be something it ain't.
It's not.
Y'all have to stop.
We are not equal in this
We're
country.
dealing with reality. We're not dealing with expectation. When you're talking about raising children, people want to look. Well, I expect everyone should be treated equally. We expect it too.
Yeah,
However,
should.
that's not the reality
should.
that we're in. And when it's not the reality that you're in, you cannot just sit up here and allow things to just fall by the wayside, because you're just putting everything in the hands of chance at that point.
We can't take that chance.
No, now we talking about life.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Are we expected to endure more as black people? Is that the reason why we don't?
Course. Because even in our beginnings in this country as slaves, the consensus was that black people could take the pain and the pressure and the abuse because we didn't have the and I don't know scientific terms, but we could take on more pain because we didn't have the amount of nerve endings that white people had, and so we could go through surgery and not have anesthesia.
Child,
you know, women could have children and not have any kind of medicinal use. You know, and that is still permeating even in the medical field today. And so, yes, I think that black people are considered these superhumans that don't hurt.
Yeah.
And so we are supposed to just take it. You look at the bones of slaves. They worked so hard to where their bones were basically, there was no muscle, there was no tissue in the joints. Like, bones were literally falling apart, and we were still working day and 12-hour days. You know, in the heat, not getting any breaks, not getting any water, not any nourishment. They would give us enough to keep us alive. You know, and so there's a consensus in this country that black people are meant to take on a lot of stress. You know, and we've taken that burden on ourselves.
That was my next follow-up question.
We've learned to just hold it all in. So they don't even know that we're killing ourselves.
So do you think that we are perpetuating that to ourselves?
I think yes and no. I think there's a part that we play in it. I also think that society doesn't necessarily make it easy for us. Yeah. Because we still black and we still in this country. We don't, because in order to address your mental health, you got to take a time out.
That's true.
A lot of black people don't have time for a time out.
Sure don't, because the bills don't stop.
You got to feed our children. Our children are going to school. And a lot of times you talking about single parent households. So you got a mother who has to work full time, maybe 2 jobs to support children in school. You want her to take a day off to go see a counselor and talk about her problems? I don't have time for that. Gotta work. I gotta cook dinner. We ain't talking about
You
our
keeping
problems.
it real though. You.
I mean, it's the reality of things. Like, you know, people. So it's very hard for black people. And, you know, talking about the cost of it.
Yeah.
There are people out there who give sliding scales, and you know, you have free agencies out there, but a lot of times they're not readily accessible to us.
Yeah.
You know, they're not in our environment to see.
Yeah.
You have to actually go out and seek it as a black person. You know, white people, those resources are a lot of times marketed to you.
Yeah.
Whereas black people, I mean, you go to, I work at the St. Charles School District. You know, there's so many agencies that are in the school. They have counselors that are ready to just give them counseling. I rarely see black kids.
And also, like when you look into the criminal justice system, you know what I mean? Like when you talk about drugs and things of that nature, rehab is always constantly offered. I don't think I've ever seen a black person being offered rehab for drugs. Right. Prison is your rehab.
Yeah,
like,
prison is your rehab. You know what you're doing, smoking on that heroin.
Smoking that smoke.
Smoking that smoke. Yeah, got Smokey Robinson singing to us.
Doing that dope.
But white people, a few white kids die from a heroin overdose.
Pass the whole law.
We gotta get heroin out of the community.
What you mean?
We gotta get our kids on heroin.
They made heroin. They made
send all their
recreational.
parents to jail just like you did us in the crack era.
They made recreational heroin legal in Oregon. Did you know that? Did you know that?
What?
In Oregon, there's a such thing as called recreational heroin.
Really?
Yeah, you can legally do heroin in Oregon.
Because you got white people that are using it. We can't put them in jail for it.
It's too many.
Y'all know what y'all just need a little help.
Yeah, what you're talking, what you know what you're doing.
Y'all just need a little help. Come on,
you just need a little, just little sign.
Yeah, but let a black kid
pick a flower,
smoking
put him
heroin, or smoking coke, or doing cocaine or coke,
smoking that smoke,
or crack, and oh no, we got to throw them in jail. They're a monster to society.
Child.
Damn.
Ooh, Lord.
Shoot, even the whole marijuana thing.
Man.
You know, black people are locked up because of marijuana.
It don't make no sense. And then they curbed all of these, all of the dispensary rules are so fucking stacked against black people.
Black people to make any money from it.
Yep. So they're trying to get all people who are not black
smoking that smoke.
Situated in such a way to where by the time black people can get to that point, other people are so far ahead of them.
Gang banging.
So, question: does opening up to professionals have a negative connotation still to this day in the black community?
Opening up?
Yeah. Like saying, I go to a therapist. Is that still looked down upon?
I think it's getting better.
That's a relief.
I think that black people are now starting to realize that mental health is important. I think there's a small group of people who are still like, what's wrong with you? I only go to counseling if I got something wrong with me. And I always tell people, like, counseling is like going to a doctor. It's like your car, right?
Maintenance.
You got to get some maintenance. You know, you don't just go to the car shop when your car is broken down. You go get an oil change. You go get
defibrillator, carburetor.
You get your tires
rotated. Yeah.
Yeah. You just want to make sure you can still keep rolling out here. That's the same thing with going to counseling. Yeah. It's just keeping you. Even when like marriage counselor, like relationships. You know, me and my girlfriend. I told her like I would love to do couples therapy.
That is nice. While we're in
it, she's down for it too. Like I think that we all need relationship maintenance.
Yeah.
Because it's going well. Let's keep it that way.
Let's keep it oiled,
and then try to go get some counseling. No. Let's do it now while everything's going well so we can keep it going
so we have a good baseline of what well looks like.
Yeah. And so I think that is starting to change. We still have a long ways to go, but I think that we're starting to see a shift in our community when it comes to mental health. People are talking about it more. And so it's becoming more normal.
Yeah.
But yeah. Definitely.
That was my last question.
Okay. Well, shoot, where we at? 2 hours and 23. Hopefully y'all get this.
Only other thing that was on here was your question on Facebook.
I'll ask it. Shoot, we here.
He said, "Why
So
not?"
I posted this question on Facebook, and so I give you the origin. So in one of my man groups, they shared this post from this woman from like the Shade Room or something like that, where she basically said that she wasn't going to give her children's last name to their father after she carried these children for 9 months. And they will get the name that she decides to give to them. Even her husband doesn't. Yeah, it said. Let me see if I can find the post because I want to read it. It wasn't super long either. So.
Wait a minute. I'm mishearing you. Maybe I'm mishearing you. I'm gonna wait for you to read it.
I'm finna read it. I'm pulling it up.
Pulling it up. You couldn't have been saying what I think you could
Here it
be
is. It
saying.
says the lady says. So her name is, I don't know what this is like. Twitter. Her name is Keisha BG. At Bratz 2021 ATL. So she said, if we're not married, it's my child, and I don't have to give my child that I carry for 9 months the last name of a man who ain't my husband. He's just a father, and there's no long ties to him. Even if we're married, I don't need to give my kids my husband's last name. It's 2021.
Wait a minute. How did you start off the conversation saying, if we not married because you ain't my husband? But then when you get the husband, you say, still no.
So,
What the
yeah, that post itself was just like, whatever. But the post that I commented, that I did, it brought up the idea of, I want to know, like, what do women think about giving their children their father's last name even when they're not married? Mm-hmm. And so I posted the post on my Facebook, and I got a lot of responses. I think a lot. So the consensus that I saw was that a lot of women felt like if the father was if the father was not involved or not going to be involved, then they were going to give that child their last name. And they would only give their child's fathers the right to name the last. They would only give their children their father's last name if the father was going to be involved. That's the consensus. Now, there were a few people who are like, if the child is by their father, they get the father's last name, right? But there are a lot of women who are like, no. If that child doesn't have, if their father's not going to be a part of their life, or
How do you know?
I don't know. If it was a one night stand, or if it was just a random occurrence, or just somebody you were just sleeping with and y'all wasn't committed, and they didn't have any, they didn't show any, they weren't at the pregnancy, they weren't signing the birth certificate or whatever, then they don't get the child. The child doesn't get their last name.
But what if the father is there and he just don't want to marry you?
Don't know. I mean, a lot of those women were like, if the father's involved with the child, then
But
yeah.
what do you consider involved?
Don't know. It depends on the person, I think. But that was the consensus I got. What are your thoughts on that? Let me ask you, what are your thoughts on if you and a guy are kicking it or doing whatever y'all doing, and y'all not married, or maybe there's no plans to get married, whatever, and y'all have a child, are you giving your child their father's last name?
Yes, because that's their father.
Regardless of his
That's their
involvement in their
father.
life?
That's their father.
Okay.
The relationship that they have with their father is up to that father. Why would I just completely erase half of their legacy because I'm upset?
Well, some people will say just because you don't get the father's last name doesn't mean they still not your father.
You don't know, but okay, who the father? Who's your baby's father? Your
baby daddy?
You know what I mean? Like when you say who's my dad, and then my father's name is Chris Miller. That's why my last name is Miller. You know what I mean? So
but if your last name wasn't Miller, your father would still be Chris Miller?
Yeah, but then it would be like, well, why don't you have? That creates more of an issue for that child that child doesn't need to be worried about. That's a problem between mama and daddy, not baby. I'm an advocate for not creating issues for babies. Especially that parents did before babies even got here.
So what happens if and I'm not advocating for or against. I'm just asking questions. What happens if you give, say for instance, your mom gave you your dad's last name Miller, and your dad was not involved whatsoever, and you were like, "Well, I'm a Miller, but I don't know who this dad is." Do you feel like that adds just as much struggle?
No, I don't.
Okay, tell me why.
Because I don't. The dad is just a dad. That's a whole lineage. That's a whole family. A dad cannot be involved and that grandmother could. A cousin can. An aunt can. That's a whole family that I'm attached to. You know what I mean? Most children are raised by the mother. You know what I mean? And if the mother and father are not together, that last name is like the branch that holds on to the other side of the family. You know what I mean? So if that father doesn't want to be around, that doesn't mean that my grandmother don't want to be, or the grandfather don't want to be around. I just don't, I'm old school. I'm super old school. I don't believe in that. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just feel like that there are other ways to deal with certain things, and you could feel one way about something at some time, and then as time go on, you could feel completely different. And you didn't. This is that child's name, their name. Cause like when you sit back and think about it, oh well, I'm only naming you like this if I'm married. Okay, you married. Y'all get divorced in 2 years.
Right.
What you gonna do? Rip the baby's name off the back of the baby? Because y'all got divorced. Well, you left me, so I'm taking his name off. What the hell? It shouldn't be predicated on that. That child is the union that you have with that person. If you don't like that, then maybe you should watch who you have unions with.
That's a good point.
That goes back to that accountability thing that people don't want to fucking deal with. So they put it on everything else than actually sitting down and saying, maybe I should watch who I go into union with if I'm having issues with how I want to name children. I don't lay down people that I'm not willing to have babies with. I'm not gonna willingly lay down with nobody that's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Now you're talking about somebody who goes through rape or something like that, then
that's a different occasion.
I can completely understand that.
Yeah, that's different.
Completely understand that. But when you're talking about you willingly participated and laid down with somebody and y'all had a child and then he decided he didn't want to be there for that child, does that make that not his sperm?
Right. That sperm is still just as active.
Because you have no idea. You could okay, I'll give you this scenario. You lay down with somebody, you had this baby with him or whatever the case may be. And he ends up deciding he don't want to be in the baby life or whatever. Okay. Y'all young or whatnot. You raise the baby by yourself. You get sick, you pass away and you die. Baby's 7 or 8 years old. Baby grows up, becomes a teenager, graduates from high school, and wants to find their father. Reaches out, finds their father. Father wants to have a relationship with the baby and reconcile because father was young and stupid at the time. You never know. We're not God. We don't know how the story is going to write out.
You don't know how the
so for us to do things out of spite or because we're angry, like I feel like a name is
you think people do it out of spite?
I think some do. I don't think all. But I definitely think some do it out of spite, just like I think some women keep their children away from the fathers out of spite. There's a lot of that going on because this goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the podcast. A lot of women feeling like their worth is in a man or in their children. And so if you take one away, you take the man away, now all I got is these babies. I'm going to hold on to these babies until the end of fucking time. And I don't want them to love you too, because then I'm going to feel less worthy. If they love you also, then I got to make
I do all this stuff for them and you don't do nothing, but we don't get the same love.
Child.
Like it ain't about you.
Child. Tony, this is hot button for me. Because I don't believe in that. I just do not believe in creating extra stress on babies that they didn't ask for.
I deal with it a little bit myself. That's like I said, that's a topic for another time. But yeah, my perspective is, for me personally, any child that I have, I want them to have my last name. Mm-hmm. That's because first of all, I'm gonna be active anyway. If in all my power, I'll be active. Now, if the woman is not wanting that, that's a whole nother situation. Yeah. But in terms of if everything being equal, I'm being involved. I want my child to have my last name. I value my last name. My last name means a lot to me, and I want my children to have it. In general, though, mm-hmm. I believe the same thing. I think that a child should have their father's last name.
Yeah.
Whether their father's involved or not, eventually, sometimes people grow up and they reconnect, and sometimes you have a family member that wants to be involved, and maybe the father just needs some time to get his life together. Yeah. Or a lot of times fathers come back in children's lives when they're older.
Yeah.
And then they can have more of because they don't know, maybe they don't know how to parent a younger kid.
And you know what, like even going,
not saying it's right.
Just
saying it's reality.
But even when you go back into like what the young lady was saying on the original post, you have to think about it. That name is that link for that father to that child. Uh-huh. You have a link to that child forever because you carried that child and you pushed them out of you. Uh-huh. You have that link to that child no matter what.
The funny thing is, I saw a lot of women saying like they're gonna have my name and that's it. The thing is, your name came from a man at some point.
Your name is your daddy name.
Your name is or if your mama gave you your name, and even if she got her name from her daddy. It always came from the daddy.
And that's the thing. At some point in time, you have to.
Just because you ain't around, they ain't gonna get your last name.
It's a punishment thing, and I just don't.
Just get a baby.
I don't agree with it.
Maybe they hate the name so much. Yeah, it's not about you. It's about their children.
But this is
their father.
But this is why
they have their own relationship with their father.
Yep. Mm. And guess what? Those children have the right when they grow up to take whatever name they choose to take. When they become an adult, they can change their name to whatever.
I feel like there's a loss that somebody now I've never been in that situation, mm-hmm. so I can't say what it feels like, but I'm only giving my thoughts on it. I feel like if I'm a child that grows up and I have my mom's last name, and maybe my dad isn't involved, mm-hmm. I feel like there's a part of me that's missing though. I feel like at least if I have their last name, I feel some connection.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If I don't have, say for instance, my mom's last name is Wilson. Okay, literally, my mom's last name was Wilson. My dad's last name is Gillen. Mm-hmm. If my mom named me Tony Wilson, I would.
Hey girl, how you doing? My name is Tony. No. Last name Wilson.
I was wondering.
I'm glad that didn't happen because you'd have been singing that every day.
Tony Wilson. But I would have never felt. I would have never knew what it felt like to be a Gillen. Like I wouldn't have felt like my dad was my dad. Mm-hmm. My dad's name is Gillen. My last name is Wilson.
And that's another thing. Like I'm speaking from experience from having a dad in my life as a young girl.
But then some kids grow up to resent their parent, and so they actually like the fact they don't have their parents' last name. But where did that resentment come from?
But that exactly like one thing that I grew up with and that my dad used to say all the time. This is the Miller way. This is the Miller this, Miller, and we the Millers. This is what we do. This is how the Miller. That was the thing, and it was the big thing, the big overarching energy about being a Miller was we held a lot of pride into old-fashioned ways, mm-hmm. doing things with respect and in order, in a very old-fashioned way. Yes sir, no sir. That was just the Miller way. You know mm-hmm. what I mean? And so, not that we didn't do that on my other side of the family, but that was just a thing. And even people who didn't, because my aunt, obviously, she got married mm-hmm. and her name changed. So my cousins, they weren't Millers, but they still were, this is the Miller way. Yeah. They knew that from their mom's side of the family, even though they had their own dad's side of the family also. You know what I mean? But they knew that this is what we did as a family. You know what I mean? This is a part of the decree of what it means to carry this particular name.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So,
Yeah, a lot of women had a lot to say, and I valued everybody's perspective. I guess I was a little surprised. I didn't know that many women felt that way.
I did. I did.
But I also didn't grow up in that environment. All the children that I knew in my family had their father's last name, whether the father was around or not.
Yeah.
My dad was around when I was younger. My brother, he got my dad's last name because even though my dad wasn't around really for him, he got my dad's last name. My cousins all got their father's last names, whether they were involved or not. And so, also you look at like it's 2021, women feel as though
all right, now when your baby dating their cousin on their daddy's side because they didn't know that was their daddy's people.
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue.
Child, don't get me started. St. Louis damn small.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was pretty interesting, the ideas. I was shocked at everybody feeling like I'm going to name my child after. But like, look, I'm not going to be in that situation, so it ain't got nothing to do with me. My child have my last name. Shoot.
Well,
if I had,
go ahead.
Never mind. That's a whole other topic
For another day.
Yeah, I was thinking like if I was to be with a woman and then she says that she's not giving my child my last name, I wonder if I would disown that child. Like if I would sign my rights away.
I don't think you would.
I don't know.
I think you would feel some sort of way about your seed being there. I think you would be very irritated. And
I would be
angry.
hurt.
And yeah.
I'll be upset. I don't know. I would think about it. I would contemplate signing over my rights. Like, well, shoot, he ain't have my last name. You don't want me to be in his life? Bam. Then he can take care of him.
Don't be hollering at me for no child support.
No. Because at least I was planning on being there.
But that's what kills me. You don't want to name him after him, but then you want him to pay for him.
But think it's
child, because they want that child support. But
you had the child with this man. You laid down with this man
and did
what you did and had a child
and did.
Now you're saying, well, no, he ain't gonna get the child's last name. Why? You did what was necessary for y'all to have that child. Mm-hmm. Why now are you saying, well, he gonna get? Did you lay down by yourself and have that child?
A lot of these women will say and did.
A lot of women would be like, just because I slept with him don't mean he gonna get their last name. But that's stupid. Why would you sleep with somebody and you don't want to give that child the last name of their father?
That's what I'm saying.
Why would you sleep with a man who has no intentions of raising his child? Now, you have men out there who will trick you and who will make you think they're the best person in the world, and when it gets down to it, they really just interested in you and not being a father. Okay, I get that. Okay, but at the end of the day, you lay down with that man. You should have gotten to know that man for a long period of time before you allowed that man to put you in a position where you could have been with child. Mm-hmm. It's some kind of, like you said, accountability must take place.
Yeah.
And stop trying to hurt the other person because you're upset. Mm-hmm. Because you're only hurting your child.
Because it's a lot of that going on.
And then, I think that even when your child grows up to be resentful of their father, I think a lot of times
they resent the mother too.
I think that mothers are resentful of the father, and they project that onto the children. Mm-hmm. Maybe not intentionally, some intentionally,
but it's definitely
some unintentionally.
It's definitely intentionally. Just like when you have a mother who's afraid of dogs, and then all their kids are afraid of dogs. Them kids ain't afraid of dogs. Them kids are afraid of the fact that their mother, who is quote unquote God on earth to them, is afraid of something. So that makes them fearful of it. Yeah, that's why you have to watch what you do and how, it's a
little nonverbals that a person can give off to influence a child's behavior. Mm-hmm. Like if every time my dad comes up, you never say anything about him, you don't even speak highly of them, you don't speak positively of them, then I'm going to gather that there's nothing positive about this person. Yep. But if my dad's name come up and everybody's like, oh, he was a good person, or he's your father, and one day you'll meet him, one day you talk him up in a way that's exciting. then I want to think, oh, one day I want to meet my dad. Maybe
you know
one
what's
day.
popping into my head while you talking?
What?
The Temptation, Papa was rolling song.
Oh yeah.
Mama never told me. Mama just told me bad things about him. Mama, I'm depending on you to tell me the truth.
I think of, Daddy, why y'all was on the road? Why he say it like that? I want to see that clip. Before we go today, I want to see that clip.
We still got to do our affirmations. And
Yes, we do.
Too.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Daddy, why was you on the road?
Daddy, why y'all was on the road? I say, why are you?
You gonna type it in like
always on. Oh, here we go. Why are you always on the road? Here it is. Oldest son. This is from YouTube, guys.
Sure I can. Oh no, see that's cheap. Shut up and play with it. That's what you get, miss. Hey. Okay. We'll play like that, huh? Yeah. Okay. Come on.
Oldest and his son are playing basketball.
What is wrong with you? You don't play fair. Why were you playing this stupid game anyway? Because I want to spend a little time with my son. Since when? You should just stay on the road. Is that how you feel, Lamont? Lamont. Lamont, you're my son. So you go in and say what you feel you need to. Why you always on the road? It's my job. That's what I do. It's your job to be my father. Yeah, that's right. So do it. Be my father.
He said, why y'all was on the road?
Why you always on the road?
Why y'all was on the road?
It's my job. It's what I do. It's your job to be my father. So do it. Be my father.
Yes. On the flip side, Denzel and the Fences said, I just had to take care of you. I didn't have to like you.
And don't.
Dang.
You could have had that.
I put food on the table. I put clothes on your back. I take care of the house. It wasn't me liking you was never part of the deal.
Child, not at all.
Talk about some trauma. Anyways, that's shoot. Anyways, we are at the end of the road. Although we go to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me. I belong to you. Oh, I'm playing that song on the way home.
I took the low note.
Go to the end of the road.
You super low. I can't get that low.
You always come in talking. Baby. I never meant to make you cry.
So
I was just having a hard day. And I didn't see.
Love me again, I can love you
Please,
before.
baby, give me another chance.
Right.
Like, boy, if you don't shut up.
Swallow
Anyways.
my pride.
I'm definitely playing that song when I get home.
For real?
I'm putting both of my headphones in. I'm blasting it. All right. So,
All right. These
Go ahead.
week's affirmations are:
ba-ba-ba-da-ba.
I will make time to take care of me. I will make time to take care of me. I will make time to take care of me.
Why y'all was on the road? Oh.
Next. I am responsible for me, so I will act like it. I am responsible for me, so I will act like it. I am responsible for me, so I will act like it.
My goal is always to type it before you say it the second time.
I see you.
It's like my personal goal. Go ahead.
Third one. I prioritize my mental health.
a big word. You said, bro, that's all over the keyboard.
You distracted me. I prioritize my mental health above all else. I prioritize my mental health above all else.
Prioritize is one of those words. You be like, damn, all my fingers moving on this one.
I prioritize my mental health above all else.
Yeah.
Those are the affirmations for this week.
Okay. Affirmations. I think the journal prompt. I went back and forth today about what I wanted to do. Damn.
That's
okay,
how she
that's
feel
the
about,
baby. That's the
that's
doggy.
how she feel about you going back and
She's
forth.
like, look, let's get to it, brother. So I think my journal prompt from this week will be in the spirit of today's episode. It would be hold on, let me get it together. Hold on. Okay. The journal prompt for today is, what would it take for you to prioritize your mental health? What sacrifices would you have to make to prioritize your mental health? And is it worth it? So I'll read that again. So what are you doing to prioritize, and I'm using that word, your mental health? What sacrifices are you making in prioritizing your mental health? And is it worth it? What?
I'm trying to write. I'm not as fast writing as you are typing.
That prioritize word be getting me.
Is it helping?
What?
Said, is it helping?
Oh, no. What are you doing to prioritize your mental health? What sacrifices are you making? Is it worth it?
Okay. Well, that's all we got for this podcast. This was a long one.
This was our longest to date. This was almost 3 hours long.
Yes. But it was a nice. I wouldn't take back anything we said today.
Nope.
I feel like we had a nice intro. Talked about something a little different.
A little different. Yeah, we went all over the place, but yeah, today was great. Had a lot of fun talking about a lot of different topics, and it definitely made me think of things that we should talk about in the future.
Absolutely.
We kind of like skipped past a few different topics that I think.
Skip that diddly dee.
Skip that diddly dee.
That's what we did.
Yep. There was a meme that was posted. It was like, what do you say in your head during sex that you don't say out loud?
Please, not that.
And I was like, skip that diddly dee.
Oh, no.
I feel like I say that in my mind.
In what context would you?
I don't know. Maybe you just hit it from the back and you be like, skip that diddly dee. Maybe you about to come and you be like, skip that diddly dee. I don't know. I feel like you would say it so many.
I'm glad you're not
moments.
saying it out loud. So glad.
I think before I die, I have to do it once.
Please don't.
Like getting ahead or something, you'd be like, skip that diddly dee.
That's not gonna go well for you. If you getting, that's not gonna go well for you. Don't do
Might
that.
bite you from laughing.
Yep.
No, that might not be good.
That's not gonna go well.
What if you down there giving fellatio? What if you giving fellatio as a man? You giving fellatio, and all of a sudden in the middle of it, you be like, skip that diddly dee. I wonder if that would feel good to a woman. Skip that diddly dee.
Boy, turn her off. I want nobody singing skip that.
I guess you wouldn't get it out. I'd be like, we just got dark. We just got dark and X-rated in here. I'm sorry, guys. We were just talking about mental health and
All of this laughter is a part of mental health.
Yes, it is.
It really is. We gotta tie it all in.
You didn't say what do you say in your mind doing intimate relations that you shouldn't say outside, or historically, maybe not now.
Right.
I ain't putting your business out there. I don't know what you're doing. You might be out here throwing it back on.
See,
Look, I have no idea. Go for it.
What do I say historically that should not be said out loud?
It's gonna be so funny. Go ahead.
I don't know.
What have you said in your mind that you didn't say during?
I don't know. Let me think. I can't think of something that I be saying in my mind.
Are you a talker?
It depends.
Are you like, oh, I love that baby. Oh.
This is getting too personal. It depends.
We gotta have some podcast.
Oh no! Yes. He said we got to break this open.
Look, human.
Listen.
Part of the human experience is sexual.
Let me tell you something. T been trying. He got a chisel he been trying to chisel through this goddamn gobstopper fucking shell of mine to figure out some things. He been trying to get me to talk about things.
Okay, we gonna go deep, but I did want to pose a question to you. Something in your mind that you wouldn't say out loud doing intimacy.
I'm a perfectionist, so probably something like, "Hope I ain't do this wrong" or something.
Like, oh, I messed up.
No, my ass, probably something like that.
Oh man, that's not funny.
It's not.
It's not juicy. It's something juicy.
I wish it was. I wish it was, but I don't want to lie.
I don't know. That's a funny thing. I don't know. What would I say? I'd be like, I'm ready to go to sleep. I don't know. But anyways.
Is this over yet?
It's over, guys. So you all have a blessed week.
Yeah. Then we're going to bless it after that.
Blessed. I mean, hey, God loves sex too.
Pray for us, y'all.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what God like. Let's ask him. Let's see what he got to say next time. But you all have a blessed week. Get out there. Have fun. Search and strive for happiness.
And advocate for your self-care.
Advocate for your self-care.
And your mental health.
Please share your journal prompts and your ideas when it comes to affirmations, things that have spoken to you. Please share with us. We hope to see you all very, very soon.
Very soon.
Also, before we go, want to say a happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride!
To all the peoples in the world.
Especially to my black people, cause rooting
for everybody black.
No, seriously, because we might have to do a segment on it at some point this month, because that's a whole nother thing. We gotta talk about that. There's racism in between. That's a damn shame. You would think you goddamn it, y'all fighting for equality. You would think that you would understand not to separate the black people out, but here we are again.
Here we go again.
Another hurdle.
All right, guys. Well, you all be safe, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.